Take the chains off the brains. We've been handcuffed. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I am one of your hosts, James, aka RDJ.
And I'm your other host, Ashley, aka Threes.
Don't be
I thought if I was
complicated
going to do
today.
all of them.
Don't be complicated.
I was trying to see
today.
if I wanted to do all of them, but I'm just going to be Threes because they might not have AKAs, and I don't want to be the one like this.
Right.
My resume's so long, so
the most. So I want to thank y'all guys for entering the grade today. So today on today's grade talk, we have two guests with us, which we will allow this opportunity for them to introduce themselves. So we will go with ladies first.
I'm Bree, aka Bree, DJ Breezy B. I'm just playing. No, just
Bree J.
Bree J. When I'm with my other half, we're Bree J. That's our celebrity name.
Yeah, I was about to say, and you?
I'm CJ Watson, husband, father, MC, in that order. Looking forward to having a good time. Thank y'all for inviting us.
We appreciate y'all coming.
Yes,
or being here
on time at that.
Yeah,
love it. Love to see it.
for sure. But yeah, today's great talk is going to be a little bit different. We're going to also ask you guys to state your relationship status for this particular topic that we're talking about today. So I will go first. And if you have been tuned in, this is probably information that you already know.
Okay, we get it.
Right. But for this situation, I am 34 years old. Oh, I'm 35 now. I'm 35 and I am dating.
Oh, I guess I can go next. I'm a young tenderoni and I am in a relationship. Yeah, I'm dating.
I am 30 and I'm engaged,
Congrats.
Thank you. Getting married November 8th.
Ooh.
Send gifts if you want, money.
Yeah.
Just good vibe. We'll take it all.
We'll drop the cash app later.
What's the cash app?
Yeah, we'll
I'm 35, married, happily married.
I like that.
I like that.
You know what? A lot of people don't say that when they say their relationship status, especially if they're married. I'm happily married or I'm happily in a relationship. That's not something that you hear a lot. So I like that little bit that you put on the back end of that.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
Are you? I just wanted to ask Bree, are you happily engaged?
I'm very happily engaged. Did you see the ring?
Nah, I definitely saw the ring.
It says a lot. No, I am. I'm very happily engaged, and ready to be married. Ready to be happily married.
I love that. I love love. Oh my gosh.
Love is beautiful. So, Black love is beautiful.
Black love is gorgeous. I love it. All right. So that's all the good stuff. Oh, yay. Relationships, dating. I want to switch gears that quick and go into cheating. We're going to kick this off with some negativity. All right. So I would like, if you're comfortable with sharing, okay, it could have been when you were 12. All right. But I would like to know two things as we go around the room. One, have you ever cheated? And two, do you think that everyone has the capability to cheat? I'm going to start because I got the easiest one. No, I've never cheated, ever. And I do not think that everyone has the capability to cheat.
Yes, I have cheated before. And yes, I do believe everyone has the capability of cheating.
I'll go next. I have never cheated before in what I believe to be legitimately cheating, but I'm sure we'll talk about this on what classifies cheating. And right now I'm in only my fiance is my second relationship ever. And so I feel like, and I'm only 30. So I feel like my previous relationship, there are things that maybe I wouldn't do in this relationship that I would now consider cheating, that back at 17, 18, 19, 20, when I was dating this other person, I didn't consider it cheating. But now I'd be like, oh, heck no. So I'd say, yes, technically everybody does have the capacity to cheat. I think because again, what criteria you're using. And I think that in each relationship, cheating looks different. What is accepted in each relationship looks different. So,
I mean,
Great answer.
okay, first of all, define cheating. Okay, so
right.
have I ever like in a relationship with somebody and decided to engage in sexual activities? No. And even if I was, who would admit that? Secondly, I think that everybody does have the capability of cheating.
Right.
I mean, like unless you're paraplegic or something, quadriplegic, but I think yes, you have the capability of cheating.
So before that, I will say what I believe cheating to be defined as is depending on the person, the culture, and the relationship boundaries that are set in the beginning of the relationship. But broadly, I'm pretty sure it's more like a breach of trust or some exclusivity, romantic partner relationship that you have. But it involves physical, it involves emotional. There's a digital cheating or online cheating situation. There's something called micro cheating, and I will explain that if need be, and financial cheating. So there's different type of cheating that can happen or take place in a relationship. So if you fall within any of those, guess what? You're a cheater, okay? And it's okay because you're not the same person no more. Well, hopefully you're not, especially in the relationship you're in now. But yeah, did you fall within any of them categories, Bree, as far as cheating?
For me, it was definitely one of those, like, definitely, like you said, like nothing physical I was never doing, but there's things that I wouldn't do now in my present relationship that
Right.
I was doing as a younger person. Like,
Hey, you got
I
boundaries
think,
now.
breaking boundaries, seeking attention, maybe in ways that it's like, you're not going to do anything, but I think that emotional cheating is a thing too. I think you can absolutely be an emotional cheater. And I feel like maybe that's what I was doing in the past was I never, thought that I was going to cross any boundaries, but I think that I was definitely pushing the envelope and, taking advantage of some blurred lines and being like, oh, okay, well, this is, you know what I mean? But now I feel like I would never play that game, but I think it was a really immature thing that I used to do. And ultimately it was because you're dissatisfied in your relationship, but instead of communicating that, you go and you do dumb shit, basically. So.
I would ask you, CJ, but I know the answer. But for the people who don't know, what about you? Have you tapped into any of those categories when it came to cheating?
What is micro cheating? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah.
It's kind of explained as in like subtle behaviors that are that may not overtly exert like physical, but could indicate like interest or some type of disloyalty. Like saving somebody under a fake name or hiding DMs or like consistently like liking or subjective to certain posts or anything to that degree. That's called micro cheating.
Okay.
Which I feel like, I don't know if it's gonna come to me. I mean, I know you asked the TJ, but I'm just saying, I feel
it's
like
an open floor at this point. I mean,
cheating is literally doing stuff that your partner wouldn't be okay with if they knew that you were doing it. That's just very simple. So if they were sitting right beside you, or if they were with you doing this action or saying this thing or talking to this person or whatever it is that you were doing, if you knew that they wouldn't be okay with it, it's cheating. But go ahead, CJ. I was going to forget that, so go ahead. I think you were sharing your part.
What was the question again?
have any of these categories?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. You're right. I have. I mean, in that sense, there's been times where your phone gonna get you in trouble sometimes, and so you know, I had somebody kind of slide in my DMs, and I kind of entertained it, knowing I wasn't gonna do anything, but
I mean,
stuff like that.
I think knowing that we're not going to do anything and we did entertain it, it is considered cheating. But I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, kind of how Ashley said, if it's something that
I wouldn't do in front of my partner.
Right.
Yeah, I respect that. But man, I didn't do nothing. It wasn't me.
You You respect it, but you don't agree with it. Is what you're saying?
No, I agree with it. It is because
Okay.
if my partner was in front of me doing that, I'm like, yo, fuck is you doing? Okay,
Yeah.
like what's going on?
Explain yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, just for me, it's like, I think it's the intent too. Because if I know that my intent ain't to do nothing, like, you know, sometimes you just like the attention, and,
Yeah,
sometimes you like to
I
chase a
still
little
feel like
bit.
that classifies. That's where I was coming from. For me, I was like, I was unhappy in my relationship, but I didn't want it to be over because kind of have your cake and eat it too, kind of selfishness and maturity. And I think that for me, it was, people would slide in my DMs, and I'm not entertaining them, but I'm also not entertaining them. And I think that when you don't set proper boundaries that allow people to think that it is acceptable to approach you in a certain way, is one thing if they're like, well, I didn't know you were in a relationship, my fault. But I think that for people who do know you're in a relationship and they still pursue you in your DMs and you do not draw the line and say, hey, I'm not interested, I think that that is a certain level of disrespect to your partner, and it's not something you would want done to you. And so that's where I come from, where I was like, I know it was immature, and I wouldn't admit it back then 10 years ago, but now I look back and I go, oh, I would absolutely never, ever, ever put my partner now in that kind of position where he would ever feel slighted or disrespected, especially not by another man. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's just where I'm at now.
Love it.
Well, I hope I can speak for everybody that's on the panel that I think that's what we all at and have been. CJ, I'm sure you've been at that since you've been engaged, hopefully. But nevertheless, I mean, you got to grow up sometimes, and you got to realize like childish shit is childish shit. You know what I'm saying? So it took me some time to get to that point, but I was under the impression that since I knew I wasn't going to do anything, whatever situation is, doesn't mean that it's not still considered cheating. And like I was, and I'm forever growing, and I'm forever becoming. So I'm trying to make better changes with my life. I'm trying to make better decisions too. So, I want to be better. So I just got to put the work in to continue to do what I want to be.
Well, in that situation, you're 100% correct. Because I wouldn't do something like that again. I try to put myself in my wife's shoes, and, but and I mean, to be honest, this woman knew I was married, so been to the house and everything. So
Sheesh.
it's wild, but so I didn't. I mean, like I said, I didn't initiate anything, but uh, it was a growing experience. It was a learning experience, and so it is what it is. I wouldn't do it again though.
Even with that, like, and this is an open panel question. What do you think drives somebody to actually cheat or make a connection with somebody else on an emotional or physical level? Like, is it lack of connection, impulse, revenge, immaturity?
Mm.
It can be all of them. I mean, I think revenge is probably the most childish reason to, and just it's dumb, but you have lack of impulse control. So I mean, there are people that are addicted to sex and things like that. So that can be an issue. And, impulse control and discipline and things like that. Some people just want to cheat. Like some people, they like having the security of somebody to come home to, but then they want to go and just
Live that best life.
yeah, they
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yep.
I mean, and that's for men and women. Uh, I know people like to say that men always cheat, but really, in actuality, it's the women folk. But that's either here
Come
nor
on,
there.
somebody.
We just get caught more, but y'all do it more because y'all do it better.
I
Mm.
was like, I don't know if we do it more or better. I think it's just that we do it different. I think that women cheat differently than men. In my experience from the friends that I've had, from my own transgressions of doing stupid stuff and being like, come on now. I think that definitely it ends up being more like from my experience, I think that from like a woman's perspective, I think it does lean more towards a dissatisfaction. I'm seeking something out that I'm not currently getting in this certain relationship, where I've noticed that from my experience, the men that I know who have cheated are more or less, it's an impulse thing. It's a crime of opportunities, I would like to say. I wasn't going out looking to cheat, but somebody tossed something my way and I caught it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I think that for me doing the dumb stuff it was a dissatisfaction. It was, man, I don't really feel secure in this relationship. I don't really feel that pretty. I really don't feel that great about myself. And we argue about this all the time, and I'm tired of arguing about it, but I also don't want to break up because what if I can't find something better? You start getting in your head, and then you go, well, I'm not going to cheat, but if some guy tells me I'm pretty, I might just smile at him a little longer than I probably should, or I might be like, thank you. You know what I mean? And to me, I'm like, that just seems foul. You know what I mean? Now. But at the time, I genuinely thought I was innocent, you know, and I look back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would be so embarrassed if I were to do something like that presently, you know.
Yeah, but you said something in there that kind of stuck with me. You said that, you know, it's with men, we kind of just take, you know, if it gets thrown at us, we catch it. Because you got to remember, I mean, we still animals at the end of the day. We still mammals. So for us, I'm not. I think this is an excuse, but like, it's just sex, you know. In that instance, you know, for us and for women, it can be more emotional. I'm not saying it is all the time, but that's why when a man gets cheated on, you know, it hurts us a lot more because we know that it took a lot, you know, for y'all to get there. Y'all are, you know, more emotional to it. When us, it's just like, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
That's fair.
Ashley look like I'm shy. She don't like none of that.
I mean, y'all aren't cheaters now, but I just have a thing towards cheaters. I feel like in order for you to cheat, that means that you do not love yourself. I think it's impossible for you to fully love yourself and cheat at the same time. If you love yourself fully, if you're in a relationship, you love yourself fully, my assumption is that you're seeking someone who also loves themselves fully. So there are two complete people who love themselves. Love, and you know what your actions can do to that love. I highly doubt that you would ever cheat. And cheating is so intentional. That is literally you making a conscious decision to say, I'm going to do the thing that this person, it's going to hurt this person. Whatever level of hurt or whatever, whether they stay or go, I'm going to hurt this person forever. They're going to always have that scar that I gave them forever. And so I just don't believe that you love yourself if you do that. Now, you can grow and you can learn from it, and you can learn to love yourself more so that you have boundaries, or you just grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? And you don't do it. But that's why, one of the reasons why I'm like, I know y'all don't agree with me, but I don't think that everyone has the capability to cheat. I don't believe I have the capability to cheat. Have I been cheated on? Yes. Have I been in situations where my homegirls have been like, girl, you are stupid. You should have, because homeboy acted dumb. You should have did whatever. They're trying to talk to you. And I'm like, I wouldn't even know. Like, I don't even know what that looks like or what mindset I would need to be in order to cheat.
Yeah,
so I don't think everyone has the capability to do it.
But I feel like that's you choosing not to cheat. That don't mean you ain't got the capability.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I don't know how to get started. How do I do it?
That leans more towards like, you may not have the inclination to cheat, but I say that to say that you don't have the capability. You ever hear somebody say, oh, that's my dog, he don't bite? But my mom always used to say, but he got teeth, don't he? It's one of those things where it's like, I think that you have the capability to, not you personally, I'm saying you, the general you. I think that someone might have the capability. Yeah, I think that people might have the capability to, but maybe you don't have the inclination to. You're going, I wouldn't even know how to get that thought started. And I think that maybe you just haven't had the right circumstances that you've been put in. And because you have been cheated on, I think that does play a large role in it. I think that people who have been cheated on before, in my experience, I think that they're less likely to cheat because you know what that heartache feels like. And if you're a good person, you go, I don't want to do that to somebody else.
I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense. The thought process makes sense. I still don't agree with that. I think that dog, it's innate in them to bite. Like, that's hardwired in their human nature. I don't think that cheating is hardwired in people's human nature.
That's the assumption that, because a lot of people will say that they don't think human beings are meant to be monogamous. Our goal is to procreate and then pass down our genetic material so that then we can, social Darwinism, if you will, like passing on your thing so that your greatest attributes will last on. With that being said, then technically our goal is to procreate, and nothing says who and how often we should, and if it should be with one person. So I do think that that's why I was like, I mean, I don't actually think that, but I do kind of go, oh, that makes sense. We as human beings, you're just meant to make babies and boom, possibly, you know what I mean? Like, is scientifically, I think that's what it is. But that's why I was like, I go back to the capability. I would say that would mean that you physically lack the ability to. And I think that you actually, whether this, you're saying that there's no circumstance that you know of, I do think that means that the inability to, I think, would mean that you literally don't have like the
physically can't.
Yeah, physically capable. And I think that anybody is physically capable. I would never kill a person. I literally don't know a situation where I could, even when they harm somebody I love, I can never see myself being like, I would murder someone, but I can't say that I'm incapable of murdering somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that that's my character. I don't think it has anything, you know?
Right. But you say that because you think that there may be that little percentage that I might have to kill somebody one day. Like I might have to do it based upon whatever the level of whatever is. I'm saying I don't agree with that. I think that some people are wired in a way where they can do it. I think that some people aren't. And if he just said that cheating was based upon different like society standards and this and that, that means that the definition, even with CJ being like, what's micro cheating? You know what I mean? The definition of cheating is ever changing. Yeah. I don't have the capacity to do any of that shit because my whole goal is, hey, person that I want to be in a relationship with, what do you like? What do you not? What do you consider cheating? What don't you? It's easy in my brain to be like, I'm not doing any of these things. I don't even see it. Like, I don't know how people put themselves in an arena to do that. And do people like DM me and all this stuff like that? Randy knows I don't open none of that shit. I don't see none of that shit. When I'm in a relationship or if I'm dating someone and I am locked into that mode, you're going to be hard pressed to get me off of that. If ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I think that there are some people who can do it and there are some people who can't. And that's okay.
I get what you're saying. I feel like I can see what you're saying because I feel like, again, presently in this relationship, there's nothing. I could never see it happening. Not even in any way, shape, or form. So I see that you're like, look, I lack the capability. For me, I go, people who enter relationships that they're not technically supposed to be in, people pair themselves off with people that they're not meant to be with. Thanks. And because of that, I think that that's where the cheating comes from, where it's like you said, when I'm invested in somebody, I'm going, what do you like? What do you not like? I never asked those questions in my last relationship. I said, you think I'm pretty? I've never had anybody tell me that before. I'm fresh out of high school. You know what I mean? And so I think that for that, I ended up kind of just going with the first thing that worked. And it wasn't necessarily the right thing. You know what I mean? So you end up having this a foundation of unhappiness that you build a relationship off of. And then a couple years. So I do see what you're saying where you're like the capability. Right now, I feel like I'm incapable. You're right. So you'd have to put a bullet to my head. I don't think that there would be anything I could do to my current partner. Right. But because I was in a relationship that I was unhappy in, I was doing stupid stuff. You know what I mean? But again, you're right. You're like, I'm just not going into relationships I'm unhappy in. Like, more power to you. Look,
but even with that, I have been though. Me saying that I haven't cheated doesn't mean that I haven't fallen short of being what a partner is supposed to be. I've cheated the experience of the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been better, or I could have been better as a person, but actually doing something that they have classified, or I even classified as cheating,
them or something.
Yeah. Like I can't do that. And so the feeling that you have right now for your relationship, I've carried that always. I've always had that. So that's all I'm saying is I think that some people have it, some people have to build it, and that's okay. But I think that not everyone has the capability to cheat. So
yeah, we can agree to disagree because you definitely have the capability of doing it. You just don't have the desire or the want or the need to.
I don't even know where or how to start. I don't even know the mindset.
Have the need.
I do, because my mindset is I have this person, whether we're on good terms or bad terms or whatever it is, this is my person. I need to now do something that I know is going to hurt my person. I don't know how to do that. I really don't. I'm not even trying to be funny. I don't know how to do that. Now, even in the relationships, like I said, outside of cheating, I have fallen short in relationships because maybe I didn't know something, or, you know, they've been in prior relationships. They want me to be like the last girl or something like that. We can have a conversation about it. I apologize, and I'll let you know if I have the capability to do something or not. I say that all the time. If I'm with you and you say what you like and what you don't like and all that, I'll tell you if I have the capability to do it. And if I don't, I'll leave you. That's just me.
Right. But you learned that, right? That was something that you learned, right?
I don't know from where. It's just kind of always my mindset. I've never cheated. And like in my first relationship as a teenager, I got cheated on and I didn't cheat.
But you knew you fell short. So knowing that you fell short, you knew that you had to change or transform or learn something to be a better partner, correct?
I learned, yeah.
Okay, that is the capability of doing whatever that action.
No, because cheating
What?
is like literally betraying somebody. If somebody says, I wish that you cooked more, my ex used to cook a lot and I miss that, that's not the same as like, I don't want you to have another man's penis in your mouth. Like that one of them is really going to hurt
But
you.
you know something
What?
though, I think that if you're talking about the literal physical cheating, like the physical cheating, I think that because that's something that I do still feel like even back then at 17, 18, 19, 20, however long I was in that relationship, I don't think that I was ever capable of being like, let me physically. But that's why I was like, for me, it was like the I was never like secretly texting anybody, but it was like it made me a little too happy when I got attention from somebody that wasn't and to me that feels like a betrayal. And that's why I was
Right.
like, that feels, you know what I mean? That feels,
Right.
it made me
I
feel
agree with
dirty
that.
now when I look back on it. So I do feel like for some, it's like, I don't know. I'm straddling the fence. I see exactly what you mean by the capability because now that I'm in that position, I go, I can see it. But because I've
Yeah.
also been on the other side of the fence where I was like, man, I was so unhappy and I just did stupid stuff that maybe wasn't, you know, the best. I do think that, I don't know, I'm torn. I'm torn on the capability thing. I'm torn.
I feel it.
She hooked you.
I get it. I get
She
both
got
sides
you.
of it, honestly.
But is it capability or is it will?
That's all it is. It's two different things.
That's why I said you don't have the inclination to, like, you just have never been
like
so
you're
inclined to
capable
do
of
it.
doing, but you probably would never do it in your life, which is okay. It's okay to say, I have the capability of doing this, but I can't relate to this. I would never be under this cheating mindset, this cheating thought process. I don't know how to do it. So no, I'm never going to do it, but I do have the capability of doing it. And it's okay.
Kind of how Bree said, like, you know, she ain't a killer, but don't push her. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, I think, you know, that's a fair assumption. But the capability, I really believe that everyone has the capability to do that.
For sure.
I think that I could have the willpower to be just as good as LeBron James. I feel like I could train as hard as him. I feel like I can do all of these things. Once I tap into that willpower, right? I could train with him every single day. I could do all the moves and everything like that. But if my player didn't come down to earth with that capability, I will never be LeBron James. I can never do it.
Okay, but LeBron is 6'8", 6'9", 200.
But you get what I'm saying? Everybody can dribble a ball. Everybody can do the things, but everybody can't. But you have the capability. But you have the capability to do it.
Sure.
So what I'm saying, some people don't have the I don't have the capability to be an NBA player. That wasn't in my skill set. That came down with my divinity. Okay, because I'm an angel.
Yeah, but you're talking about something.
I don't have.
That's physicality. That's something that you have to train for. Do this, do that. Your mindset.
But I'm saying no amount of training will even get me there. Even if I have the will, if I physically don't have the capability or the mindset, whatever, if I just don't come equipped with the capability to do that, I can't do it. I can have all the will and the want and the desire in the world, but if I'm incapable of doing it, I'm incapable. Have I been in rooms? Have I been in situations where I probably should have and could have cheated or whatever? I'm sure. Like I said, I had homegirls that be like, girl, what are you doing? This dude right here was trying to talk. I'm like, I don't even know. I done tuned that nigga out so much. Well, you having problems with him and he ain't doing this. You should just do that. He doing such and such. You should. I'm like, how do I get this started? Hey, I got a boyfriend, but you want to sleep with me? Like, what do I do?
That's focus. that's focus and motivation and a strong mindset. Like, you're strong-minded.
Even if I have all of those, even if I get into my next relationship and I'm like, you know what? All right, become a cheater. All right. He's doing me wrong. You want to be done right. Okay. How are we going to start this? Let's go slide into somebody's DM or open up all the bajillion DMs that I got right now and entertain somebody's message and do this. I can't. I know the steps. I read it. I've seen it. I've been around cheaters. I've been in a relationship with some of the most skillful cheaters. Okay. That's why I'm such a great private eye. It's been some masterful cheaters that I've been in a relationship with. Shout out to the narcissist. Okay. So with all of that, I can't do it. I can have all the will and the desire and the want to do it. I can follow the rule book step by step. I could call Bree and she'd be like, girl, this is what you do. First, send him a DM of this. Next, meet up. I can see all of that. I can't do it.
We're like, wait a minute, hold on.
My bad. I'm just saying, I can't do it. I can't. My commitment, whenever I commit to anything, it's stronger than everything else. So my commitment to that person, I got to see it through, my boy. I'd rather break up with you and then be like, oh, I'm so sad from the breakup of the relationship and go have sex with someone because I'm not in that commitment with you. I don't break commitments. Like I can't see how to do it. I don't know. But I don't want this whole episode to be on me and how my brain works, but I just can't do it. I think some people can, and that's okay. I'm not judging the people who can and the people who have cheated. I am judging current cheaters because it's like, damn, it's 2025. Like, you still cheating? You know what I'm saying? But, you cheat in the past, you do what you do. People grow, they learn. That's all fine and dandy. But I just don't have the capability.
If they grow and learn, if they're willing to grow and learn, yeah.
If they're willing.
They're capable of growing.
If they're capable, because some people are incapable of growing.
Hey, so it's funny that you say that. So I've actually been waiting to mention this. So we talk about the capability to grow and learn, capability to cheat. We talked about what causes people to cheat. Like, what do we think about people who serial cheat? Like, because it's like you do something stupid. We all learn from a bad person. Okay, I'm never going to do that again. It was morally corrupt. But what about the people who continue to do it? They cheated in one relationship, or they continue to cheat in the same relationship. Like, what's up with that? Do we not think that that's like a chemical impact, like a psychological thing? Like you got to go to therapy kind of thing? Because I feel like when people cheat continuously, I go, nah, it's something behind the scenes. Let's peel back that curtain and see what's going on in that brain of yours. Something's wrong. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that, but I think that when people serial cheat, it is to me, it's evidence that you have something that is not quite right in the brain.
Remember what I said earlier about cheating can be a what do you call it? An addiction. I said that earlier. Like, it could be like that. There are sex addictions, just like there's, drug, alcohol, whatever. So I think that if a person is serial cheating, like you said, I think there's something wrong with them. It could have been an issue where they were abused as a child. It could have been an issue of them maybe like an ugly duckling type of thing where they were always picked on and not attractive as a younger person, and then somehow they got better looking. They're trying to, I guess, fill that void. It could be a lot of different things going on with that. So who knows?
That's fair.
I related to the last one, so that's why I started smiling.
Oh, wait. So are you saying?
I was ugly. How many times I got called ugly when I was a kid was crazy. So what happened was I just started latching on to the first chick that thought I was cute or whatever situation is, or the chick that wanted me to do her homework or whatever situation. And it could have been the most vile, disrespectful intentions that they probably had, but in my eyes, it was like, oh, they're interested. So, that's where it stemmed from. It was like, oh, okay, you like me? Cool. All right, we dating. Oh, you like me? All right, cool, we dating. Because I didn't have a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't start getting into relationships till like my middle school or high school, and I didn't even really consider them relationships. My first real relationship was when I went to Texas A&M. So it was more. If y'all don't know what it is, that is commerce. That's the lucky lion symbol. So once I got to that point, that's when I actually had some more emotional awareness and intelligence. Like, hey, like I'm playing with people's feelings and the emotions, and I need to take mine more seriously. And more I got in relationships, the more and more I understood. Like, hey, like I wasn't a good dude to begin with, but you know what? I'm getting better, and the more I can acknowledge that, the better I will become. So, sometimes serial cheaters, they do grow up. They do become a great person, and I'm proof of that. But there are times where people do have something going on under the hood, and they need to be checked out. So, I think that's a 50-50. Like, you might get something wrong with them, or you just got somebody who's just emotionally immature, and they need to grow up. So
I agree with some of the stuff that you said for sure.
I'm sure.
I think that to answer Bree's question, I think that they do it from a lack of fill in the blank. Like it's a lack of something. And that's how they fill the void. And usually people tend to fill the void with the opposite of what they actually need. I know I need to go and work out, but I'm going to scroll. Both of them get me that exhilarating feeling, but one of them is going to be good. Short term, one's going to be, things like that. And to your point, Randy, why I was saying like I agree and I disagree is that like, yes, they can change, but it takes work. And if you're a serial cheater who's not in a relationship and you say that you changed, what's giving you that? Like, what's telling you that you changed? Because I'm pretty sure, unless you've actually gone to therapy and stuff like that and got into another relationship and didn't cheat at all in any capacity or whatever, you probably didn't change. So I say that to say a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't do that no more. That's the old me. How do you know? Have you put yourself in that arena? Have you put yourself in that situation to see if that's, you know, something that you wouldn't do? So yeah, I agree with you. I think they can change. I just think it actually takes them really truly doing the work and whatever that looks like, and hopefully not hurting someone else again. So, or themselves, because they're hurting themselves too. They just don't realize it because they're getting all this short-term excitement or short-term thrills from doing what they're doing. So there's that. But they need help.
Even with them doing that, you seen this new law that came out, right? This infidelity law.
Yeah. So
half the states got it, half of them don't.
I didn't think that was a real thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was real.
Yeah, it's real. Half the states have it, half of them don't. So the law is
it's a good thing, actually.
I agree with it. Nevertheless, it's more so like if you're caught like doing like anything infidelity wise, adultery pretty much, then you can get 90 days in jail or up to like $500 fine or whatever situation is, especially if you can prove it. So like at this point, like I think it's a misdemeanor, class B misdemeanor.
Well, some places currently it's a felony. It's hardly enforced, but in some states it can be considered a felony.
I could see that. Look, technically, we're talking about breach of contract here. It makes sense. I'm like,
That's what
marriage
I'm
is a legally
saying.
binding agreement. So I do feel like if now this is my first time ever hearing about this. I'm gonna be honest, but I do think at first I was like, that's silly. Like I was like, can we not separate church and state? Like, are we really? Why are you all up on my mix?
Facts.
But then I'm like, because you have to go to the government and say, hey, I'm gonna be married to this person,
Right.
and when it doesn't work out, if it is because you cheating, then you're wasting. I gotta go get a lawyer. You gotta go get a lawyer. It's a whole bunch of time and money and efforts wasted, not just within your own relationship. So I do see why, like, I've never heard of it, but I'm like, hey, it makes sense. You know, recoup your losses, guys. I get it.
You took vows, like you take an oath, like you take an oath of office. You take
exactly.
vows.
Yes.
It's a breach of contract, you know. So you're right.
Yeah, get them. Tell the government, get them.
And I think it's a good thing, you know, because I really do think that's a good thing. It keeps people accountable, you know, at least think about it. I mean, people still gonna do what they're gonna do,
right?
But at least you can think about it a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can make somebody kind of hesitate, I think that's a good deterrence.
But it will force them to take marriage serious. A lot of people that hasn't took marriage serious to them are like, oh, if it don't work out, I'll just get a divorce. I'm like, what?
Divorce, yeah.
That's crazy.
You know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I know. It shouldn't be an outlet.
Options.
Though. Yeah, exactly.
I hate options.
People don't take marriage seriously like they used to. And this might be kind of taking us off topic, but I think it boils down to just an opinion. I think have you guys noticed that like presently faith is looked at very differently? Like modern, I feel like we grew up, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how me and her grew up. You had to go to church. You didn't have a choice. Like you're gonna go. We're gonna pray together. Like it's a thing. And I think that because our faith was so important, then when you stood before God and said, hey, I'm going to do these things, it meant more. I think now when people do it, you see less and less people getting married in churches. They're more like, oh, I care about the venue. It becomes very much more about the aesthetic and the vanity of the marriage rather than I am binding myself to this person forever. And I'm going to stand before the Lord himself and say, I promise I'm going to do these things. And I think that that's why we have these issues, because people don't look at it like a contract. They are looking at it like just a one and done. Hey, let's head to the courthouse, get this thing done. I can get married very quickly. In the Catholic faith, I don't know if they still do this. I had a couple friends who are Catholic, and they said that in order to get married in their church, you're required to go through like a pre-marriage like class, almost like a home owner's class, you know, before you buy a house. It is a like almost like pre-marriage counseling that you guys do to make sure that you guys are ready for that step, because it is so serious, because it is, you know what I mean? And I think that the lack of faith that I've noticed, there's a lot of kids today, or the youth, my gosh. But I do feel like faith is just not viewed the same way like it used to. And I think that it's become much more lax. I think that the interpretations are more like, that doesn't apply to me kind of thing. And I think that that's why we see marriage being treated like this, transaction rather than I'm binding myself to you, not legally, but like, what is it the Bible says that you should cleave onto your wife? Like they're not seeing it that way. And I think that that's why we have the infidelity. That's why we have, because people are going, they're not recognizing the step that you're taking. Take it, the guys in the military. I say guys, women do it too all the time. You ever have a friend in the military who they go, I'm just gonna get married so that we can live off the thing, or you're just treating it like this thing. I'm like, do you know what you're doing? This is serious. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that that's why I think the weight of what step you're taking in your life is not being viewed the same way it used to, which is why the cheating happens, which is why they're just not doing it right. Like, come on now, bring the Lord into it.
I have a kind of a different take on that. I think that marriage and cheating has kind of always been the thing, because we all know about the man that had a different family on the other side of town. It's always been a thing. I think number one is that women have more options now. So, like, I was mentioning before, you got those degrees on the wall and stuff like that. Before, women didn't have an option to get out and, if her man messing up and cheating and all that stuff like that, what is she going to do if she leaves him? You know what I mean? So now they got this option. Women can leave. They can, Ashley, wait, go ahead, Ashley.
No, I'm agreeing with you. When you said that, I was like, I don't even think that it's that women have more options. I just think that women have the option to choose themselves.
Sure.
Because they did it before.
And so that's a thing. I'm not saying that it's not the only reason, but also you have people in social media too, I think, have a big play in that. They want to, things are so flashy and enticing, and I can go on Twitter right now, or X, or Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I can go on any social media site except for LinkedIn. I can go and look at somebody twerking.
I was like, I've been DM'd on LinkedIn, like somebody trying to on LinkedIn.
They know no bounds. That's crazy work. But literally crazy work.
I guess what I'm saying is that, like, it's there, and so it's so just enticing all the time. And you think that you can go and get that, and you want that, and could you see that, and it's like that 80-20 rule type thing. You're up here looking at this over here, but because your woman don't look like this, or your man don't look like this, and you got a meme that says this, or you got somebody making a long post and a video or whatever about what a relationship should be, and people are looking at that and not understanding that those things are triggering, and people are doing this to get views and to shares and to make money off of it. So they're going to say things that aren't really necessarily true, and so all that plays into a factor of why I believe that cheating is more prevalent. I don't know if divorce is if the divorce rate has changed much. I know the divorce rate has gone up since same-sex marriage has been legalized, but that's just because I think it's because more people getting married, and also women get women getting married to one another. It's more likely to end in divorce, and so I think that's a thing. I'm not trying to talk shit. It's just statistics. It's just fact. So, but when you look at it, when it's a man and a woman in marriage, I believe those statistics have been the same for about the past 50 years. I just think that it's just more so of the perception of what's going on. Just like you think, perception is that, black men aren't good fathers, that stuff like that. It's just the perception of what's being told to people. But in actuality, it's not as bad as you really think it is. That's my take on it.
That's fair. I do think social media definitely has an impact. It's almost like they're marketing infidelity to you. And so you're consuming that on a insane level. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about how many hours I scroll on the internet because it's a lot, but I think about the fact that a lot of the issues that we have, I think, can be attributed to the fact that we're kind of glorifying certain behaviors in certain relationships, or the fact that like there's lots of social media couples you follow. And so, you know, familiarity breeds contempt. You're over here like, man, why can't I be like them? Not realizing the fact of, yes, that is fake. They're putting on a show, you know, and so comparing yourself to another relationship. And I do think that media does play a part in it. And I also agree with what you said, that maybe it has been the same rate statistically, but we're just more aware of it because of media, because now whenever a couple breaks up, they're going to post it on Facebook, and you
Right.
see that there's, oh my gosh, she deleted all the pictures of them. That must mean that they, you know what I mean? Like, so I do think that that may be why it seems more glaringly obvious that like so many relationships are in trouble, because we're just able to see it more.
We're trying to figure out how to word this, and I'm gonna just go with the best way I can. I think going back to what you said about faith then versus now is just two completely different things, and that's what's created this system of um, commercial relationships that we are in now. Like the cultural and religious aspects of things, like faithfulness back then was tied to a religious doctrine or some social obligation, and adultery and divorce was like heavily stigmatized and shit like that. But now, you know, it's more so like you have access to see the consistent exposure to temptation, you know, the social media, the dating apps, the virtual interactions. You know, back then you didn't really have that. You had fewer options to connect with people because you had to do it in person.
Yeah, agree. Somebody cheats, it's like some girl she met, you met at a grocery store or something like that. Now it's like you can be cheating with somebody in Taiwan.
What facts, and see it on social media and within
Yeah.
seconds. Back then you had to actually, hey, go tell so and so. You gotta walk to play telephone, actually, other than using a telephone. You know what I'm saying? The trust back then was built for long term in person connection. Now you can talk to somebody thousands, millions of miles away in a matter of seconds. And the access to do that just doesn't lean into going into a positive realm of things when you're trying to connect with somebody in a relationship. You know, staying faithful would kind of like equate it to like endurance, and not necessarily like a emotional fulfillment when they were saying stay faithful. You know what I'm saying? But now it's more so like you see it and you emphasize the self-love aspect and freedom and not settling and all this other thing. There's so many aspects of faithfulness now that has changed from back then. It's like you don't even know or recognize what it looks like when you see it. Like you have to create what faith is to you by talking to God or whatever religious symbol that you have for your culture. Because I'm not trying to deter anybody, I'm trying to not put down anybody religion, but nevertheless you have to talk to them and figure out what you connect with when it comes to faith, even if that's what your religion believes in, if they believe in faith. But I mean, now what?
I was waiting for you to be finished, and I was going to say my take, and but you can go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, you know, nowadays people just like to seek therapy and they talk about their trauma, their triggers, and their needs and things like that. When actually you just talk to the person that you're with, you can figure all that out instead of, hey, people like to branch out, and that's where your relationship takes a downfall, because they're not even a part of it. They don't see the intricacies of what's actually happening in the relationship. You give them a broad aspect of like, well, this person did this, I did this, but this person did this, blah blah blah. All right, you should do this. Versus like, all right, me and my person, we're going to talk, we're going to connect, and then we'll figure it out ourselves. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to boil down to. It's going to boil down to me and you. These people not in our relationship. It's just me and you. You got
I
faith
think
in
you should
me,
be
or
able to
you
seek help though for it. Like as long as it's together. I do agree with what
counsel.
you're saying. Where
Yeah,
like
for
if it's
sure.
just solo, then yeah, I think that you should be sharing those things with your partner. But I do think that sometimes if a couple comes together, mutually agrees we've got this issue and we need help, we can't figure it out on our own, then you know, I think it is okay to be like, hey, let's go get that third party help to be like, hey, help us. We want to stay together. We're just not sure how or if it's possible or what tools we can put in our toolbox to to make it happen.
And I'm not shitting or down talking people who do that or even who go through therapy. But there was something that Ash said in a couple episodes ago. She said something about having friends that you can go to for counsel. Symbolizes what type of person that you are and the type of people that you surround yourself with. So if that's the case, if we're going to involve people, let me go talk to people that are my friends. You talk to people, your friends. We come back, we see what happened, and if that's not therapeutic enough, then we still got a problem. Because what we're going to do, we're going to decide by going to a therapist, aka a judge, who's going to have the final say so on what we should do. Depending, I don't know if they bias or not at this point. But if there was a 2 therapist situation, I would take that. But 1 therapist, I don't know if I agree with that now.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff that you said that I agree with. Some things I'm still like digesting. I won't even say I disagree with, because I'm not on here to disagree with you despite what everybody think. Okay, not y'all, but the people that be watching. Like, you just look to disagree with him. No, I don't.
You're so contrarian. What's wrong with you?
Right. Like, geez.
It's open dialogue. So however you give it, I receive it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go all the way back and talk about, I think the issue with divorces and marriages and all of that is just how people enter into relationships. I think that people are not entering into relationships using, I mean, y'all know I love God down, okay? Big JR and little JR. So I feel like a lot of people don't go into seeking a partner through God, and they don't take it seriously because they don't take their individual life seriously. But if everyone was serious about themselves and was grateful and thankful to God they even exist, and what better way to honor God is like, yo, I found this person that you created for me, and through seeking you and all this other stuff, whatever, it led me to this person. And so we're finally together. This person, we're finally together, and we want to honor you. I think if people went into marriage in that way, even with the weddings and stuff like that, like just going into it honoring God, I think the divorce rate and things like that would go down, because you would just be so grateful that not a lot of people in this world actually do the work to find their person or do the work spiritually to become their best selves and to honor God. So I think a lot of the divorce rates and all that stuff would go down because people would take it seriously. Another thing that I wanted to speak on was the whole social media thing. I think that people are scared to admit that they are weak and weak-minded, and people are more weak-minded. Everybody has an insecurity, everybody has a weakness, but the fact that social media has gotten as big as it is and exploits our weaknesses as largely as it has shows that there are more people that are weak walking around than we think. Everybody's showing their highlight reel and doing this, but look at what's going viral. Look at what they purposely will spend billions of dollars to target to men and to target to women and things like that. So it's not that, oh, the algorithms, oh, we got so many options, oh, we have this. At the end of the day, you're weak-minded. And if you weren't, that wouldn't affect you. That wouldn't bother you. Your algorithm would look completely different, actually.
That's a little unfair, I think, just because I feel like some people, I think it would make it weak-minded if you were aware of what the fact that you are being placed in this system and that the media is. Some people are not even aware of the fact that because it has been, first of all, it's been going on for so long, especially like a younger side of the generation where they're like, oh, I've been scrolling since. So they actually might not even be aware that they're a part of this system that is working against them. So I was like, I don't know if it's a weak-mindedness, but definitely a lack of awareness that maybe you're not even aware that it's almost like Inception. Somebody's been planting these seeds, and then every time you scroll, you water them, you are, you know what I mean? So I do think that it would attribute to maybe like a definite lack of awareness. And I think that it takes a strong-minded person to take a step back and go, let me gain some more and let me gather some perspective and maybe alter my view a bit. Because I do think that we are all apparently like aware of the fact that like social media is evil. It just is, but a lot of people are like, this is their main media, their main, mode for how they get news and stuff. And unfortunately, especially in the time that we're in, it's very hard for certain people to decipher what's real and what's not, and that's sad.
It is.
Like on a matrix level, like it's
Facts.
sad. So I do think that the media, yes, will absolutely play a large part, but I feel for the people where it's like, man, you don't even know you're being played. Unfortunately, like, you don't even know. They're just like, did you see what, oh my gosh, did you see? Or they're looking at those other couples and they're like, gosh, they're so happy. It's like, actually, they've said that statistically, couples who post a lot on social media, it tends to lean towards a level of unhappiness, actually.
Yep.
And to remove yourself. I used to be very invested in what my other partner posted about me on social media, how I was perceived, what are they commenting on, what are they liking. I'm literally scrolling through his likes to see what his previous, like, on an obsessive level. And I just think that in my current relationship, we both have this mutual, we talked about it even when we first started dating. We're like, oh no, we don't really do social media. Like, I'm just not a social media head. And we find ourselves being so happy to be like, that's, a lot of this is just for us. It's for us. The happiness that we have, the trip that we took, we take joy in knowing that it's just for us. And I think that oversharing, again, people might not even realize that they're being like conned into being a part of this media system where it's like, some people might be like, oh, and I have to show people how happy I am. They have to see it. Wait, really? And you don't even realize that it's so contrived, but I do think it's maybe a lack of awareness of what game is being played,
And I agree with everything that you said. I still believe that is because your mind is weaker. It just is. And that just goes back to the original statement that I said, is that most people just don't like to hear that they're weak minded, like weak. Like, nobody wants to hear that. I'd rather portray that I'm strong. Like, if I say that you're weak right now, or not you, but you call somebody weak or whatever, everybody's trying to show you that they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you know that this person gets their ass whooped every time they fight. You know what I mean? Like, they'll try to show you that they're not weak, And so it's like, it is. I've been a part of it before. There was times where I was weaker minded, like, but my algorithm looks different now. I do have moments where, I'm on one thing too much or too long. And I know that's because I'm like, you know what? I let my guard down. I've slipped. I haven't been in the gym, not physically, but like, you know what I'm saying? I haven't actually been in the gym. I haven't been strengthening my mind. And so they got me, you know what I mean? And it's because I was weak minded. But I agree with everything that you're saying to go into that. But I think that they prey on that, and that's what damages relationships. And if you have, unfortunately, like I said, people aren't getting into relationships in the way that I believe that they should be, with honoring Christ and with the gratitude of that. They're going into what feels good, and or not even sometimes what feels good. It's just like what looks good. Like, I bagged a baddie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like this bitch. She ain't good for me, but hey, we together. And so when you go into it with that, then the things that you may actually want, or maybe you didn't know were out there, and hey, look, this is a possibility. You'll be tempted in your weakness, to go over and do that. But yeah, so that was my stance on that. And then one last thing was about when Randy said, I think it was Randy, was going to people outside of your relationship. Like you don't need to go to people outside of your relationship. And I think that's not saying that you said this, and I know you kind of went on and explained it, but initially when you said it, I was like, oof, that's kind of a harmful message to put out, because it can leave people trapped with people who think that they're always right. If I think I'm always right and me and you are handling this between each other, we're always going to have chaos. And so that's going to leave, don't put people in our business. And like I said before, like, that's how getting away from relationships, that's how families have done things, sweeping under the rug. We don't tell nobody what goes on in this house. We're just perpetuating like horribleness forever and ever and ever. So that could lead somebody to be stuck in something because just me and you caused the problem. Me and you are trying to fix the problem, but you're always right, or you don't listen, or we have back. Like, you got to know who your person is. If you feel like you can't talk to this person and that's what caused the problem in the first place, how do we ever feel like we're going to talk our way out of this problem?
Well, you got to realize at this point, you gotta check emotional intelligence. You gotta check maturity. You have to be aware of the relationship status at that time as well. Like, just because you're wrong, and I'm right, or vice versa, or we're both trying to make an agreement, who gets the final say so? Actually, that's a question for everybody. If you disagree with your wife, CJ, and with your fiance, Bree, who gets the final say so if y'all both feel like y'all are right?
I do.
I know
I
why he said
don't
that.
know if anybody gets the final say so. I would have I feel like that's very circumstantial. Just because each situation looks so very different when we disagree. And whoever walks away with I don't know if anybody walks away with the final say so. We've had disagreements and the final say so lies within both of us to go, I don't want to argue about this. Like I don't want to argue, and so let's just not. Like let's
So
just
sweep
not.
it under the rug.
Not sweep it under the rug, because we'll hash it out. I'm not saying we don't have the conversation. We're gonna have the conversation. But you reach a point where you realize you're at a stalemate where you go, I'm not going to change your mind and you're not going to change my mind. And so it's not even a agree to disagree, but kind of, it's more or less like, I just understand your view better. You understand my view better. And we just personally in our relationship have never reached a point where we feel like the agree to disagree is something that is so major that it needs to be addressed. It's usually very minor. And every other issue we've been able to talk it out, whether it takes days or whether it takes more than one conversational session. Like, hey, look, I'm tired of talking about this. Let's circle back to it later. Like, I don't know if anybody walks away with the say so, because I think that when you say somebody walks away with the say so, you're saying that someone in this relationship has more power than the other. And in our dynamic, again, I don't know, because my recipe may not work in your oven, but for our dynamic, we just are very, very balanced and equal. And I would be offended if he felt like his opinion or his say so was more than mine. And I think that I'd be full of myself to think that my opinion or say so. So it's just for us, we've never had that situation where somebody has to decide, okay, this is final, you know?
I like that.
What?
I like that my recipe might not work in your oven.
Oh yeah, it might
Borrow
not.
that
You
one?
never
Can I borrow
know.
that one? I like that one.
You sure thing.
But what if it came down to a decision that was made? Is pretty much the question. The bills need to be paid. One is a car note, the other one's rent. You think the rent should be
So
paid? I think the car note should be paid. We only got money for one. Who gets the final say so?
Mine's your car note as much as your rent.
That has nothing to do with it.
you know,
I'm driving a 2027. Okay,
so when we're in a tough
surprise.
situation where a decision
Oh, we're already straight, my brother.
They are straight in the future. You feel me? I'm living there now.
No, I'm messing with you, bro.
I know.
I'm messing.
I know.
I feel like when we're in a situation where a decision does ultimately need to be made, I've seen it go both ways where we have both had the power to kind of make the decision. And I think that it boils down to, again, I don't know about your recipe, but for us, there are certain subject matter experts, right? And so I trust my partner that sometimes I go, now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'll be like, you know what, baby, you're so right. Sometimes I am kind of a little bit of a bitch about it. And I'm like, fine, whatever, just do whatever you want to do. And I'm passing the baton to him to say, just do it. I trust you. I know you're not going to screw us up. It may not be the decision that I want. It may not be the decision that I agree with, but ultimately I have deferred to him and just said, you just make the decision. We're not going to agree. I've given you my point of view. And he's done the same for me, where he's like, you know what? So it ends up being that one of us concedes, and who concedes, it alternates depending on the situation. Wow. Who has more ethos in this subject matter?
Who has more durability? Right.
Yeah, right. More credibility for it. Like, and you just go, for me, we were talking about buying a car and stuff, and I had a lot of opinions, but I also had not a lot, because I'm like, at the end of the day, of course, not like, of course, because he's a man, but in my situation, he's a man. I'm like, I know he knows more about the car thing. I disagree with it, but I know you're not going to steer us wrong. I trust you. Do it. So I've definitely conceded and just let him win, so to speak. But at the end of the day, that's my partner. His wins are my wins. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I just kind of concede, he'll concede, and nobody has the final say. So we don't have somebody who's the authoritarian in our relationship, but some dynamics that works for them, because some people are like, I don't want to be the decision maker, and that's fair. Mm-hmm. That works. I'm not going to yuck your yum.
That also depends on the type of marriage that you're in, like you said. So you said what works for you. There's a bunch of gems you just dropped in there actually, but there's one thing is you were talking about how one person's going to make a decision on certain things and the other on the other things. Like my wife, and because my wife and I, she doesn't really want to make decisions. She's more the submissive type of woman, but she's that way because of the fact that I have been able to show her that I can lead and take care of things and do
Right.
what needs to be done. Take care of business. I make sacrifices to make sure that my kids are straight. They ain't never gonna go without. I make great decisions all the time, I think. So, but when it comes to the children, she makes most of the bulk of those decisions. I'm gonna have my input because they're my kids, but she's the one that knows how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, where to do it. She just lets me know the kids got this going on today. You need to be there for this. Pick them up here. Do this. I got you, baby. But then when it's other things like one of the biggest things that my wife ever did last year when we were getting ready to buy a house. In fact, the house that I'm in right now, she wanted another one, and I wanted a one like this. We had the house built, so we were going back and forth. And she literally said to me, she said, "You know what? You're the man of the house. You make the decision." And she's gonna trust me in the decision that I make. Because there were multiple reasons. It wasn't just the style of the house that we like, but it was the area,
Right.
different things. And my wife literally said, "You know what? I'm gonna be the wife that I always have been, and I'm gonna follow my husband's lead and let him lead us into what's right. Let me be the head." And that's why I said what I said earlier. Like the decision's gonna come down to me at the end of the day, because that's my job. That's my job. That's not her job. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. But that's what works in our house.
You all just have clearly defined roles, and that makes sense.
Yeah. I like the way that both of y'all actually explained it, because I was interested. I already knew yours, Bree, of course, because I know you. But even hearing you say it, it's like, oh, Bree, the fiance is so different from the Bree that I've grown up with.
I was like,
I love it.
Maybe I've grown.
Yeah. I love
but it's funny because I, and my last relationship, I think, and just for context, guys, so I'm 30. I was in my last relationship from 17 to 22. Then I was single for 3 years, and then I met my current fiance when I was 25, and now we're still together 5 years in. So I did not have a lot of dating experience. I never had a boyfriend in high school, wasn't allowed, kind of thing. So that's why I made so many immature decisions. But one of those things, and what caused us to fight so much, is, again, we were just foundationally, we were so unhappy. We were not meant to be together, but we were friends. And I thought that was the recipe for a good relationship. And it's not entirely so, it's at least. But for me, we actually did have a lot of arguments about decisions like that, where it was like, who's going to make the decision? And I remember thinking that just based on he was older than me, but I had more life experience than him. And so for me, I felt like I had more credibility to make certain decisions, but he was very, 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 very old school, like faith-based, where he was like, but I'm the man and I should make the decisions. And so you should just trust what I'm saying. But I'm going, but you have no experience. So it seems silly to me that we have somebody with 5 years of experience on this subject, someone with no, experience on this subject. And because you got something dangling between your legs, you think you have more authority over me? But it also boiled down to, I did not respect him the same. In that relationship, we were not 50-50. This partnership is entirely 50-50. He makes me feel like I am his counterpart, and I feel like he is mine. In that relationship, it very much felt like he thought he was, a hot tamale. But just because, and again, somebody's going to look at that and go, that's what I seek. I want a man who makes all the decisions and he just guides us. And that is A-okay. It just wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to have a bigger voice, and I wanted to be more opinionated, and I wanted us to hash things out and not lean so much on an antiquated text like the Bible says. I'm very faith driven, but I also take things in the Bible with a grain of salt and go, okay, it was written forever ago. There's no way that it's going to be entirely applicable, or we're going to interpret it the same way. And so I was like, but again, it's like the relationship dynamics, everybody needs something different in theirs. And Ashley, one of the things you said was, we're talking back to like the cheating, is that you don't love yourself enough. And that was that. Me in my last relationship, I was very unhappy, and I was all seeking other things because he didn't make me feel pretty, and he didn't make me feel beautiful or smart or successful. There are a lot of things, but why was I leaning on my partner to make me feel those things about myself? I could have just thought them on my own. And when I recognized that this person does not think the same, it should have been the end. But I kept on trying to have him value me, like, you know what I mean? Like he's the Kelly Blue Book on Brianna, and that was, such a foolish thing. But then I was single for 3 years, and I was like, man, I just took time to love myself. I loved me. I was like, man, she's great. But in that relationship, I used to not think it. and it took me so long to get there. So I agree with what you said, or like some people cheat because they just don't love themselves enough. I was personally guilty of that. I was like, man, I really should not have been asking my partner to give me value. I should have come in with a certain level of value and been never willing to accept anybody who thought that I was worth less, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I was like, but that whole dynamic, it's like, you just learn, you grow, and you're like, okay. I went into my next relationship knowing that because of all I learned in my last one, I know what I'm willing to stand for. I knew decision wise, when we talked about balance, I was like, I just knew I would never want a partner who didn't take what I said and say, okay, this is somebody who I want to move forward with, you know, like,
Right.
but yeah, I was like, I've seen so many different things, and I feel like I'm jumping around because we talked about so much stuff, but one of the comments about like talking about other people in your relationship and giving them, you know, going to outside third parties, basically. I agree with both you and Randy in the sense that I don't think that you should be taking everything out, okay, to third parties. I think that that can be very toxic if you're not careful on who your person is that you confide in. I think that yes, it should be your partner first, but I do think that testimonials, evangelizing, relationship, you know, whatever, is how we learn. Ashley, I would never even be with EJ if I hadn't told you this guy at work bought me flowers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you gave me your opinion, and I was like, ugh. I think it's okay, but I also think that in a relationship, my general rule of thumb is I don't ever want to talk about my partner with somebody who does not love them as much as I do.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I've been in the situation where I've shared too much with my family, and because they love me more than they love my partner, they were willing to shit on that person. And when I took them back or when I forgave them, they were not willing to forgive them because they hurt someone that they love so dearly.
Yep.
And so their opinions were skewed and marred with all of this, you know what I mean? Like all
Right.
this clutter of, hey, you know, you hurt the person that I love, instead of being an unbiased third party being like, you know something, y'all are just go. So my general rule of thumb is don't go to somebody who you feel like, you know, or, you know, you got your single best friend, but she's telling you how your relationship should be, but she's been single for 28 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Facts.
I do think that you know, that friends like that do have something to offer, but I think you should absolutely ultimately be taking anything anyone says with a grain of salt and going, okay, let me just absorb that information, but I don't have to treat it like the gospel, you
Yep.
know? I think we should all be smart enough to lean on multiple resources, but I agree with the fact that it can get very toxic very
Messy.
fast the minute that you guys start adding more people. It's too many cooks in the kitchen, too many opinions, too many, well, so-and-so said, you know, and then there's resentment. And what if I told my mom something bad about my fiance? Now she's looking at him different.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And now you're just ultimately hurting the relation, fracturing it from within, and you don't even realize because all you did was I was seeking help.
right.
I think you have to be very careful about who you get that help from. And you know, or you're going to some guy, I'm a woman and I'm going to my guy best friend and telling him about the issues in my relationship. Well, that sounds like you're opening doors and windows for somebody to slide on in, you know? That's what I mean.
Say it
You've got to
again.
be very
Well,
careful.
not really, but I understand.
It is.
Of course you would say not really.
But the reason why, and you know why, Ash, the reason why is that if this is your guy best friend or your girl best friend, they don't have any intentions, or you should already vetted them to the point to where they have no intentions of wanting to be with you. So it shouldn't be skewed to begin with. Once
Are
it
we about to
becomes,
take the conversation on whether men and women can
No.
have platonic relationships?
Oh my gosh. So
we
that
already
was
did it, but we can,
that was an episode. We can
you can touch on it if you want to. I don't.
we could touch on it. Here's the
I'm
thing.
afraid. Look, I'm afraid to, because I was like, it's. I know that this is something that everybody discusses. That it is such a sore subject for so many people. I boil down to I used to think you could, and now I think that you cannot have. To a certain degree, I think I can have friends. I think that the level of that friendship. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know if I want to get into it because I do think that it's. I've never. Yeah, go ahead, Dash. Like,
Because I'm like, I do want us to get into it. But I want us to be clearly on that topic, right? Like I want us to.
You know what? I've been jumping all around.
No, you're fine. We all been doing it. It's totally fine. Because I'm like, oh wait, Randy didn't give his answer on the final say, and nor did I. So I wanted to touch on that, and then if that's the next topic, let's take it there because I got opinions. Don't be afraid. It's the gray.
Don't be
There's
afraid.
some
It's the
real,
gray.
real gray areas on that one. I can tell you that for sure. I was like,
Mm.
I've just seen both sides. I've seen anyway. Randy, what's your
Actually,
opinion
just to be
on
clear,
whether or
I'm
not the
sorry.
final say so? What are you talking about?
What CJ saying something? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, you've been married before, right?
Yep.
You've been divorced and all that stuff like that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Just got it.
Yeah, I've never been married. You didn't ask me. I've never been married before.
We've known each other since we were like 18, bro. Like,
It doesn't matter, bro.
He said y'all look like husband
but they
material.
didn't. But
So
look, Bree didn't know that, but now she knows. You know what I'm saying? This has been I've been knowing him ever since I stepped foot in college. This is a guy I've been beating his head in dominoes way back then. So the question is that what is my take on it?
the final say.
The final say.
And then I'll get mine.
It always has come down. I done seen my parents, I done seen my grandparents get into situations where they had to come down to like who's right, who's wrong, who get the final say, who don't. And seeing the finesse that they handled it in is what I strive to do, because it was more so like, okay, let's talk. Okay, logically, why do you think this is the right decision? Okay, why do you think this is? Okay, if we go with this one, what's the outcome? We'll go with this one. And once they get to the point to where they set out the pros and cons to it, whatever got the most pros is what you go with, and that's how I think it should be handled. It's not really a control thing; it's more of a consideration thing. So if we definitely go that route, I want to make sure, like, hey, I know this is the decision that's being made, but I want you to know that I did consider yours as well, and I do think there are some flaws in what you decided. But I mean, it could work both ways, vice versa. Like, hey, we're gonna go with what you said, but this is how I feel. So I agree with kind of what you said, Bree. Like, it just depends on the actual situation. Like, sometimes I'm in a, I get the control, and then she gets the control. It goes back and forth. It's not one solidified power when it comes down to making a decision. So,
I think that it should be, we don't make a decision unless we agree. And I understand, like, oh, like the car, like I've actually been in the situation where it's like, look, we either gonna get food this week or we're gonna pay the rent. Like, what are we gonna do? We only have, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it, but I feel like for me, what will work best for me in a relationship is if we're able to sit and talk about it. You say what you say, I say what I say. We reach an understanding of how the other person thinks and why they think that, not necessarily going into it with I'm right and I'm about to convince you that my decision is right, but
right.
more so this is what I'm thinking behind it. Okay, what are you thinking behind it? If we reach that brick wall in between, okay, we're gonna table it and then we'll come back to it. You know, maybe it takes a minute to process it. And yeah, maybe the clock is ticking because the light's about to be off. They said they cut it off at 9 and it's 6 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta hurry up. But I think that we should come back together and agree upon something, and not necessarily, I know technically it's taking one person's way, but not even thinking of it like that. It's just like, all right, let's say what's best for us, what should we do? All right, I think we should do this, and then because we chose this, we know that we need to make up and do this and this and this so that we're not in this situation again. And that takes away the, okay, we did it your way, all right, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna do it your way again. All right, no, because you're always right. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. That's the old Ash Pop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Toxic.
So
It's tough.
I did used to be listen from a place of lack. I didn't have any power. So in my relationship, I was like, oh, you gonna hear me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna cheat on you, but let's get active. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you're growing, you learn.
Yeah.
Now I'm a softie.
Yeah. Capability manifested, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not.
Right.
But I always had that. But I always had that capability.
But you didn't know at that time, though.
Oh, I kind of knew. Listen, when I was going to the mirror, when I didn't have a voice and I went into that mirror and I was like, this bitch, I knew I had the capability. You know what I'm saying? But no, seriously. Okay. Shout out to Christine Avenue. But I wanted to talk about what CJ said. So, or I think we all kind of touched on it, but I was interested to hear what you were saying about, like, I make the decision. And I was like, okay, what are you about to say? Am I about to get a little feisty or what? But I like how you described it in your relationship and in the dynamic. I think for me, I do say, like, hey, I do want somebody to I want the man to lead in certain areas, but it also depends on the type of leader that you are. Like, I want a leader that's like servant leadership, where you're not a dictator, but you're like, you're seeking my counsel. We're working together. And even me as a manager, that's how I led my teams. That's how I got to the level that I was. Everybody's like, oh, we like Ash. I'm like, yeah, I bet you do, because I treat you like my equal. Even though I know, quote unquote, I have the final say, I take everything into account, and I'm just the one that pushes the button. But we all made this decision together. I'm just the one that has the authority to push the button.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that leader I can get behind, but one that just wants to be like, I'm the boss. You're saying that from a place of lack, and you're dangerous. I've been there. So,
You mind if I jump in?
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
So when you say that, and I didn't want to take up too much time really go into everything. Yes,
You're fine.
my wife, that's my queen, that's my teammate, that's my bride. We work together, and so when I say that, when I say that I make the decision, yes, we have counsel, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and so we take in. I'm hearing everything that she's saying, because she's the queen. She's the queen in my house, so she's gonna have a different perspective than I have. I'm like,
Facts.
damn, I didn't think about it like that.
Right.
And so, yes, I defer to my wife again. Like, I mean, you know, she's my other half. You know, biblically speaking, you know, the woman came from a rib to be by the man's side, not an ankle bone to be at his feet, not a head bone to be above him or whatever, but came from a rib to be by his side. So when I say that, I do make the final say, but that's because of my wife has made her opinions felt, and I have to take that, whether I'm right or I'm wrong. I have to take into what she says into consideration. And I also want to point out too is that the reason why I'm able to lead is because she has seen that I'm capable of doing that over the years. So she understands where my mind frame is and where I'm coming from with all these things, and she trusts me to make the right decisions for us. And I say us as her and I as a team, but also our children. She knows that I'm the one that can make those right decisions, that we can thrive together and do the things that we can do. So
Yeah.
I just want to be clear on that, because you did make that good point. Yes, she does. She'll put my ass in check. Okay. But she's very good at doing that. She will humble me very quickly. But at the same time, she knows the words to speak to me, to speak life in me, because her speaking life into me and us working together is going to benefit all of us. And at the end of the day, if there's times that I'm not feeling like myself, I'm not feeling well, I'm not doing it, she's the only one that can speak life into me. Not even my mama, none of them. She's the one that can do it. So I take all those things into consideration. So when I say, I'm the leader, yes, I am, but at the same time, it's really her. She's my, she's my Coretta Scott King, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. My Michelle Obama, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So
and
I hope that clears it up a little bit.
Yeah, so I wasn't necessarily, I'm not saying that you just said what you said because of what I said, but I wasn't necessarily talking about you and your type of leadership, because I could gather that from how you so eloquently said how your relationship was, how it was. Like,
I got you.
I could tell that it wasn't like, because I'm the man and I have all the power. That's why I was listening to what you were saying earlier, and I'm like, I like that, because I can follow that. I can't follow you just because you said, like you said, Bree, I'm the man, and or because God, Christianity or whatever the religion is, it says that I'm supposed to be the leader and all that. Like, a good leader wouldn't even think that way. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, are you a good person? Like, it's just all these things that kind of go into that. So I definitely can see that from what you were saying, and that's what I think. But let me not say that's how it should be. That's what I think. And I think conversations like this are really good, because it does allow people to see the different dynamics of relationships. Not to say that one is right or wrong. It's whatever works for you and your person. And then a side note is that if it's not working for you and that person that you're with, it's probably not your person. But that's another conversation.
Sure.
Again, I feel like people can always people can adapt. That's all we do. We adapt. And we can make anything work. That doesn't mean that we should. So there's that. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we should.
That's hard.
But Randy, did you want to go into the friendship thing that Bree wants us to so eagerly get into?
If she want to touch it, she can touch it.
I just know it's about to be polarizing conversation, polarizing points of views on this one.
Well, Bree, actually, Randy, do you want to kick things off? Or how would you
think I kind of did already. That's why we here now. I did kick it off. I said that your friend of the opposite sex shouldn't even be considered or put in a position to even be an option to even like romantically as a person or fiance, anything to that degree. If they reach that level, then they're not a friend. There's somebody that you're interested into dating. They're not a friend. They're just waiting. So you can't say that person is a friend. So if I'm going to talk to them about counsel or anything like that, they're going to skew my mindset about it anyway, so they can make themselves look better. That's not somebody I can trust to go with that information with. That wasn't my friend to begin with. There's somebody waiting their turn.
Okay. So do you think that in a relationship that you should be, it's okay for you to have female, even best friends, female friends, and she have male friends?
Yes.
Is that what everybody thinks?
What does I and again, the criteria, I think that for me, I got a lot of guy friends, lots of them. I'm cool with a bunch of guys. I think that what those relationships and those friendships look like dictate, like, whether or not it's okay. I do think that personally, I think that for a person who, I'm trying to think of how to articulate this. I do think that when it comes to the opposite sex, if you feel like this person is your best friend, you can confide anything in them, you trust them, you have this, I find it very hard to believe that there's not going to accidentally have that relationship transcend the boundaries of like romance. And only because I feel like there are girl best friends who I was like, if you were a man, I would marry you today. I love you. I love me. I love me some you. I tell Ashley all that all the time. I would marry her tomorrow. I look all day, every day. I love me some. I do think that the only thing that's barring that is, for us is different. We're family, but for the only thing that bars me from being in a relationship with my female best friends is the fact that I'm not physically attracted to them. I have absolutely had guy best friends. I've had them, not while I was in a relationship, I will note. But I think that when I did have a guy best friend, that relationship didn't look like my female best friends. You know what I mean? Because I was very cautious. I was never attracted to this person. And we were cool, but I did not talk to him the way that I talked to my girls. We never talked about sex. I talk about sex with my girls all the time. Okay. But for a man, because he was a man, I went, he's still a man. I'm not going to treat him like he's not. So it felt weird to me to have. So I felt like I do agree that we can be best friends, I guess. But I feel like, I don't know, ultimately it boils down to that's something I thought was okay in my last relationship. In this one, I would be feeling away if my fiance was like, oh, Sandra from, oh, he's my best friend. I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like? Why, how long have been friends? What do you guys talk about? What do you? And it makes me think that, and the only reason I say that is because I think that how are you guys able to connect so much, but then not accidentally cross that boundary? And if the only reason that you guys don't cross that boundary is, well, we just know it's not supposed to go there. Okay, well, I feel like that's not a lot. I can't put a lot of faith in that system. I just can't. I feel like accidentally things may, and maybe it be on one side and not the other. I'm not saying both of y'all are going to be like, oh yeah, let's do this. I do think that it would be very hard for another person to be like, I'm not in love with this person who I share all of my life stories with, who I bring all of my problems to and they help me solve them, who loves me and I can tell that they love me and they support me. That sounds to me like your actual relationship. You know what I mean? The only thing for me, for my girl best friends, that doesn't make me go, girl, let's get married, is the fact that I'm not physically attracted to them because they are women. I'm just not into that. But if they were a man, I just find it hard for me to not being like, oh, I wasn't attracted to you, but the fact that you're so wonderful, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just find it hard to believe that accidents don't happen like that. I think I think you set yourself up for failure when you try and be like, that's my boy best friend, that's my girl best friend. I don't know. It feels weird. It feels weird. I think that only works if the other person is like gay. Like if it's like, that's my girl best friend, but you know, she likes girls, or that's my guy best friend and he likes guys. Like, I feel like maybe then, but I don't know. That's just from my experience. I've seen that it does not work out. But I get that people do it, and I've seen so many different opinions. I've heard some people say men and women can't be friends at all. I disagree with that. I do think that we can be friends. I think that those friendships should look drastically different than your same gender friendships. I do things with my girlfriends that I would never dream. I have conversations with my girlfriends that I would never dream of having with my guy friends. Those are the guys that I'd be like, let's talk about basketball, let's talk about video games, let's talk about the things that I have interest with you in. And then we quite literally hard stop, draw the line there. We don't accidentally be like, I don't want to talk about my relationship. I don't want to be like, gosh, my fiance is getting on my nerves today. I feel like that is cheating. I feel like when you start letting other people into your relationship and it's a different gender and they start, that feels like a cheat. It feels like it's starting to touch on the, you know, but that's just my experience. So I don't know if anybody else. CJ, what about you? You cool with your wife having a male best friend?
About male best friend?
Yeah, she got a male best friend. She's like, oh, I'm finna call, you know, RJ. You cool with that?
Well, if they were friends before we got together, then yeah.
That's worse to me. That's worse to me.
No,
Sorry.
No, that's establishing.
Okay, so hold on.
Hold on, Randy.
So would you? My fault. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Bro.
No.
No,
You
go ahead. You go ahead.
Yes,
I did a lot of talking already. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, so then would it be? This is how I feel. If you coming up and my wife introducing me to her friend, I mean, my wife, we've been married for 8, going on 9. We've been together for about 13 years together. So you're gonna sit here and tell me that now you got this new guy friend, now you hanging out and kicking it with that you just met 6 months ago or whatever, and now y'all hanging out.
Fuck
that
no.
Seems,
no, my bad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that seems more weird than you having a friend that y'all grew up with, and like maybe y'all did mess around in the past. That's the past, right? So like, you know, I mean, I ain't trying to have that bullshit going on again. But what I'm saying is that like it's no, okay. Ultimately, no, I'm not okay with it. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, that's great, that's fine. But I also have to trust my mate. I gotta trust this person, right?
Come on, somebody.
So I'm not gonna do that. I have female friends, so I can't say that you can't have a male friend and I got female friends, right? Because that's not fair. Now, when it comes to my best friends, no, my best friends are not women. My best friend is gonna be my wife, but my best friends going on,
yes,
like RDJ. That's one of my best friends in life. But like, I mean, obviously, you know, that's my friend, that's my brother. And I have women friends that I'm close with, but I'm not going to go and confide in them anything that's going on with me and my wife, again, because that could open up a door for anything. And my female friends, they wouldn't cross that line anyway, because they know my wife and stuff like that. They're not going to do that. However, if I'm coming to my female friends and anything about my wife, it's to like, hey man, you know, her birthday coming up. What you think I should get her? Or our anniversary coming up. I don't know what to do. You know, she know I love her. You know, I said I did. You know, type stuff. But I got to get it. You know, so that's what I'm coming to them about. And if we're hanging out, you know, we hanging out together. Like, it's not a situation of like it's uncomfortable, you know. And if my wife feels like something's not right, she'll say something. And she said something before. I didn't take it serious, and then somebody slid to my DM. So so now I heed to what she says. But if she's having a friendship with a male, if it's a new friendship, yeah, that's not something that I don't like that.
Right.
It's an older friendship, man. I mean, let it happen, bro. I mean, because I can't watch her 23 hours of the day. So, if I can't watch it for 24, I can't watch it for 23. And if I can't do it. I have to be able to trust her and understand that that's the woman that I chose to be with. And if she want to do that, that's on her. She know the consequences and repercussions of that, and so it's just that simple. Um, make your decisions, make smart decisions, and
I
don't.
have a question for you, CJ.
Yeah.
If let's say that your wife did have a guy best friend or whatever, that she's been friends with for years, right before you guys even started dating, and then you start dating her, do you expect that friendship to look different now that you guys are together?
Yes.
For instance, let's say that we used to be on the phone for an hour talking, yapping, talk about life, whatever, shooting the shit. Is that behavior still acceptable now that she's not single, she's with somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I was like, I feel like the relationship has to alter. So I'm curious if you expect the same.
I'm going through it. In the past couple of years, one of my real close friends I used to work in the radio with, she got married 2 years ago. And me and her we used to talk, we used to do all the stuff like that. And my wife knows this person, and they're they're friends with one another, like they're really tight too. But her husband wasn't as comfortable. Me and him weren't as comfortable. He knows me, but we ain't cool like that. So, she told me, she was like, hey, he's not as comfortable with, and I was like, I get it. I totally get it. So me being really good friends, I consider her like a little sister. I said, hey, I'm gonna step back because I respect your union. I respect your marriage, things like that. You know what I mean? So yes, I fully, I would expect the relationship to change to a certain extent, but
Right.
but at the same time, I think that my wife needs to have her own life too. Like she doesn't need to be under me. She needs to go do her thing, go have fun, go do her thing, because that lets her have her freedom, and then she can come back and be a better wife to me. I can go out and do my thing. It makes me a better husband to her. And at the same time, it's just respect for one another. It's just being respect. And if I'm gonna go out and hang out with the boys, if I want to go to cigar lounge, I'm gonna go play dominoes, I'm gonna do my thing. I don't want my wife like, you can't go and do this, you can't do that. She's not the type of person, but you can't do, well, okay, well then, hold on now. You had girls' night, you know what I'm saying? So, like, let her have her fun, because at the same time, she works, she's a mom, she's a wife, so she should be able to do that, and I work, I'm a husband, I'm a father, so I should be able to do my thing too, so have fun with your friends, because you need your friends. Your friends are important in your life. And so I feel that they balance her out too, because sometimes I may get on her damn nerves. I'm not easy to, I'm not an easy person to be with. So I'll make it on her nerves. She for damn sure gets on mine. So
damn.
Not you may get on her nerves, but she for sure gets.
He
Okay.
didn't mean it, Jax. Not like that. Damn.
I'm gonna regret that later, but it's fine.
I just tried to save you, bro. I'm sorry.
You got a week. You got a week. You got a week.
So, but you have to have that, and friendships are important. Now the thing is how you confide in those friends is a different thing. Because as a married man, I really don't confide in a lot of people when it comes to my marriage. And Randy can attest to that. Even though he's my brother and I love him and all that stuff like that, there's some things that I can't say to him.
You don't say shit.
Not because I don't trust him, but because he doesn't know where I'm coming from with a lot of things. If that makes sense. And then you have to get the information from somebody that knows what they're talking about. So I have an uncle who's been married for he just had the 23rd year anniversary like yesterday. I need to tell him happy anniversary. But anyway, he'd been married for 23 years. So I can go to him for advice and things like that. And it's also coming from a male's point of view. And then I have a friend of mine who we got married around the same time. Go to him, and I could talk to him for advice. And I have somebody that's married a little bit after me, and I can go to him and talk about advice and stuff. So you got to have that balance of friends to be able to keep keep things going. Friends aren't bad. It's just how you talk to them. And then friends of the opposite sex, it's tough. But you have to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, do you trust your partner? And if you didn't trust them, you wouldn't be with them. And if
Come on,
they decide
somebody.
that they want to make that decision to fuck shit up, then I mean, what can you do? Because like we talked about it earlier, they're gonna be a cheater. They're gonna cheat anyway. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and you can't stop them from doing that. All you can do is continue to be a supportive, loving spouse and do your job and do what you're supposed to do. At the end of the day, they're going to do it. It is what it is. Like your kids, you can train you can raise your kids, tell them the right things to do. They go off to school, they go act the fool. They make you look bad as a parent.
Yeah.
But you've done everything that you can do, and so kind of go from there. I mean, I know kids and relationships are the same thing, but you just kind of get what I'm saying, So
Yeah.
that's my take on it. So to answer your question, if my wife had a male best friend, but it was before we got together, yes, I would be cool with it, but the relationship would have to change, and that was my reason why.
No, yeah, I support. I'm the same. I'm like, I feel like if my fiance had a female best friend, it's more like a proceed with caution. I would look at it and be like, what does that relationship look like? What boundaries do you guys have set? What conversations do you guys have? What do you guys even have in common that makes you best friends with this random female, but you all have never, been in a relation? Like, that is such a foreign concept to me that I'd be like, that's why I was like, it's you got to tread lightly with it. And I do think that the relationship should shift a little bit to kind of make room for this new person in your life and the role that they play. I think that should be with any relationship. I mean, I used to hang out with my friends all the time.
Yeah.
I was out here, okay? We were having a great time, a grand old time. I find myself at home with my partner, not because that's what he expects of me, just because I want to be.
Right.
They'll be like, I'm trying to be out till 1:00 in the morning. I'm like, damn, I'm trying to be home by 10. He's gonna be tired. I want to hang out. So
Yeah.
I think that all of your relationships end up changing a little bit to fit like new relationships as you come into romantic ones. But I do feel like ultimately that man, woman, best friends, we're BFFs, it makes me look at it a little bit differently. And maybe it's just because the concept's so foreign to me. Both of my parents, who have been married for, I don't even know, long time. And they've been together since high school and stuff. I've never known my dad to have female BFFs. Like, you know what I mean? He had female friends. He'd be like, oh, this is our friend from high school. Me and your mom's friend from high school. They're going to come visit and stuff. And we'd see them. But I've never heard of my dad being like, yeah, I'm about to go out and me and Sarah and Jane are about to go get drinks. Cause what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? But but we're just friends. Like there's nothing happening. We're just going to drink. It just seems like that still feels messy to me.
Yeah.
And same thing for my mom. I've never known my mom to be like, yeah, me and Joe Schmo, we're going to go. Like, no, that sounds like a date. That sounds a lot like a date. And the only thing that doesn't make it a date is that y'all are not going home together in the evening. But if y'all are breaking bread, sharing stories, and connecting in any capacity, that sounds like a date. Sounds just like a date.
So what were you? Okay, so because RDJ knows this, I love going to a cigar lounge. I love the cigars. So Randy might know exactly what I'm about to get into.
You going today or no?
Huh?
You going today or no?
I'm not going today. No.
All right, cool.
But so I'm sorry. He called me. I was like, I mean, I could be there. I could be there 45 minutes. I mean, but anyway. But there is a female friend of ours. We're going as a group, and she's the only female that's around. Do you think that's acceptable? She's a friend of me. She's a friend.
Yeah, I do think that it's not like, oh, I don't expect my partner like there better not be no bitch up there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I am like, I get that women are present and I do trust my partner. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I do think that I have often been, because also my dad smokes cigars, been many cigar lounges, hanging out, chilling, and I've very often been the only girl. And for me, it was because I do think that that's okay. If that person's there, I think that the one-on-one time is suspicious. I do feel like in a group setting, that completely changes it a bit because you're not only connecting with this one person, you're, with a group. I think that now if you're with a group and then it fizzles out and everybody's starting to head out and then it's just you two, I think you should carry your ass on home. You know, from talking about my fiance's perspective.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
that was him, I'd be like, no, it's time. If it's just you and her,
Facts. I
go
agree.
ahead and slide, get your check and get out.
I agree with that. I'm just saying because there's a certain there is a certain line, there's a certain line of respect for stuff. So I think they were kind of saying the same thing. You know, we're saying the same thing. It's just I think it's common sense, respect. You know, just not being
common sense ain't so common though, unfortunately, CJ. People and I don't like the, you know, there's some people who unfortunately, as Ashley said, there are so many narcissists or so many people who are like intentionally obtuse, where they'll just be like, or they'll use plausible deniability on their, you know, what, it was just me and this girl and then everybody started to leave and then there were two. I think that yes, it is common sense for a partner to recognize. I think that a lot of times, remember, cheating, in my perspective, from a man or man, even for women, crimes of opportunity. Sometimes it's like, I didn't go here seeking that, but man, the stars kind of align. Now it's just me and her. We've been smoking our cigars. We're having a little sip. The vibe is set. It's all dim in cigar lounges and shit. Nah, that looks a little suspect. You know what I'm saying? Not from your perspective. I'm saying from my, you know, that's what, but I feel like I trust my partner to never put himself in a situation that would embarrass me.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
and that's key.
you know what I'm saying? And vice versa, I would do the same. I feel like what if I'm hanging out in a group and it was, you know, a co-ed group and now it's starting to trickle down. And it's just, I feel like that's my cue. Why do I feel the need to? It's not like there's nothing wrong. I know myself I'm not going to have any conversations, but why put yourself in that situation? Why not just be like, okay, unless you're like, I just don't want to
go.
About that time.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Why are we here?
You know, I expect my fiance absolutely has friends that are female and that, you know, he'll be like, oh, hey, what's up? That's so-and-so from work. And I've never been like, who's that bitch? You know, because I trust him wholeheartedly. But I do think that if certain relationships are like, damn, that one seems like it was a little special, it would raise some eyebrows. I'd be like, what's different about this friend that now you feel like you need to have this one-on-one time, or y'all need to be having conversations on the phone, or y'all like texting back and forth. I do think that it's like there's just boundaries that, and like you said, if you go into your relationship and you have these discussions ahead of time, which me and my partner did, I think it makes life so much easier. There are absolutely some couples who are like, that's cool, I don't care, I've got guy best friends, he's got girl best friends, like that's cool. And look, I'm not going to yuck somebody else's yum. I'm just going, it could never be me. I'm kind of a jealous person, and maybe not jealous, I'm possessive. I care very much about what is mine. And I want to protect it, and I want to keep it, and I want to cherish it, and I want to hold it, and I'm hesitant to share it with anybody. You know what I mean? That's just how I am as a person, with my family, with my relationships. But I've met people who are much more like, their boundaries are just a little looser, and that's okay. Like, they're like, look, this is what works for us, and we're happy because we can explore friendships of any kind, and there's no restrictions on it. I can see how that might be satisfying for somebody. For me, I just feel like it's too scary that it might get messy. And so I go, nah.
But why do you feel that way? Do you think that you say that you trust your partner, right? Is it I mean, so it's not like he can just slip and fall into some pussy or nothing, like, so
yeah.
So, you know, if you trust him, then why isn't it okay for him to?
For the same reason that I wear my seatbelt, even though I don't think I'm going to get in an accident today.
Because it could happen.
It could happen. And because I can't control what other people do, and I'm not able to manipulate all of the circuit, there's too many variables that come into play. And so I always, just as a human being, err on the side of caution for everything. I'm always playing it safe. That's just who I am as a person. I play it safe. And so I expect my partner to do the same. Like, let's not even get close to something that looks fishy. I don't ever want to put him in a position where he has to ask me additional follow-up questions. And I damn sure don't want him to put me in a position where I feel like I need to where I got to investigate. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I do trust him. I trust him in my life, but I just feel like I don't put anything past anybody. I know this boils down to the capability part. I think that so many things have happened that are shocking, and I don't like to be shocked. You know, and part of me is kind of controlling, not like with my partner, but just in life. I just like for everything to be very organized, and I like to know what to expect, so I'm never disappointed, kind of thing. And so because of that, I try to control as many variables as I can. And with that being said, I go, oh, when the shit get crazy, go ahead and get out. Like, oh, you know, if it feels wrong, then it probably is wrong, and let's just err on the side of caution. If I feel the need to, I have to explain a certain behavior to my partner, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. That's just how I feel.
Are you a mom?
I'm a stepmom.
Okay.
But I am not. I'm not a bio mom yet.
You got some mom in you. I was hearing it, so that's why I said you had a lot of motherly things that you were saying there. But like, cause like I could.
Thank you. I'm trying to be maternal. Yeah, I have stepkids right now, but that's just, and I'm a scary person. I'm scared of everything, and so because of that, I have the fear of.
That's moms.
You know, I'm scared. I'd be like, look, I'm scared. I don't want to. Just. I'm afraid of disappointing somebody. I'm afraid of getting caught up in something. I don't want to have to. So I just err on the side of caution for everything I do. And that includes in my relationship. I play it very, very safe because I've been on, as I've admitted, I've been on the other side of, I've had to explain myself and I felt stupid doing it. I was embarrassed when I was caught doing certain things that I knew weren't technically wrong, but then I was going to have to explain the technicalities of it. When you have to do all of that, if it's not plain and clear and simple for your partner, then to me, in my opinion, it feels like maybe it shouldn't be happening, you know, and that's how I feel about it.
If you're so safe and erring on caution side more, what made you decide to say yes to this gentleman? I'm assuming gentleman.
Yeah. What made me, even though well, it's funny that you say that. So I'm historically, I don't know if you guys believe in the horoscopes, but I'm a Sagittarius and we've been known to be pretty flaky, and I am. I was flaky and inconsistent.
Okay.
And I just found somebody who made me want to change my habits. I was like, damn, I want to be where he's at. I admired him so much. I respected him so much. And I saw so many qualities in him that I wanted to emulate. And so I was like, I just got to be closer to that then. And as I got closer and closer and closer and closer to it, then I found myself saying, I want to be bound to that like forever. I thought that it brought me the sense of security that I sought, the stability that I sought, not financially or literally like just overall stability, where I didn't feel the need that I had to ask any extra questions. I felt like he also plays it pretty safe. He has been married before and divorced. And so he came in with his own concrete, like, I'm not willing to deal with these kind of things. I don't want to make the same mistakes I made it. And I respected that so much and admired it. And I said, man, that's something I want to be a part of. But it was scary for me at first, as Ashley, you know, will tell. I was very out when we first started dating, he bought me flowers and I said, I don't want a man to buy me
And
flowers.
I almost smacked the shit out of
I'm
her.
sorry.
I'm like, girl.
I didn't mean to laugh. I'm sorry.
No, but it's funny though. It is funny.
Made me scared because
roses.
to me,
They smell like boo boo. Like, what you mean?
Tulips?
No, and you know something? I was just fearful that it meant something more than what it was to him. He was like, I just wanted to show you I was interested. And I wanted to show you I was more interested than anybody else who hadn't bought you flowers. You know what I mean? But
Right.
to me, I was going, do I even want to be able to? I kind of liked you, but I feel like now you're spending money on me. Damn, that's a pretty big arrangement. How much did you spend? I'm worried that now you're more invested than I am. What if he likes me too much? And I'm just playing around, because at first I was just kind of dating. I'm like, I just let you go take me out on a date because I was just, you know, playing the field. I didn't think it was going to be, but he was like, no, I'm for real. And I want you to know I'm for real. And so this is how I'm going to do it. And so he kept on making me.
Well, okay, bro. I like him. He had intentions.
It made me scared because, like I said, my dating experience was so minimal, and the person I was with before was not like that. And so it was so foreign to me. So I deferred to Ashley, who I was like, look, teach me, show me, tell me, is this normal? And she really was like, girl, like, are you really making a big deal because somebody bought you flowers? I was overthinking it, but I was very afraid of the advances he was making, because to me, I had never had anybody approach me in a way that said, I want to be serious about you. I had a bunch of guys say, like, I think you're cute and I want to take you out, but I had never had anybody say, I'm trying to spend lots and lots of time with you, and I want to spend money on you, and I want to do things that make you feel good about yourself. Like, and it wasn't the flowers. He sent the flowers to my job. And then I was like, oh, now people are going to be asking me who sent you. It made me feel so scared. But I really liked how secure you made me feel. And so I was like, put a ring on it, please. You know, I'm begging you.
You know, with you, I watched you talk about him, and your face just lit up, and you got all giggly and all girly.
I love it so much. That's cool. I've never felt this kind of joy in my life. And that was another thing. I used to tell him before we started dating that, first of all, we dated for a little while. We were going out, and I used to tell him this is not a thing. And I felt the need to tell him this is not a thing because I wanted to be transparent and honest, because I had been dishonest before with guys and kind of been like talking to more than one guy at once, which is actually okay. You're allowed to play the field, but it's unfair if you're not transparent with the person to tell them we're not exclusive. I don't want there to be any confusion. So I used to tell him that all the time. We're not a thing. We're not a thing. And one day I remember I used to tell him that I don't want to be with anybody whose us time is not better than the me time, because I loved being with me so much. I loved me time.
That's
I thought
hard.
I'm like, man, Bree's fun. She's a great person to be around. I loved being by myself. And then I just met somebody whose time together was way better than me being by myself. I was like, man, I actually kind of like this a lot. And then I realized that, again, I'm kind of possessive and jealous. I thought to myself, I told him for months that we're not a thing. And one day he called me. We were on the phone until like 6:00 in the morning. It was crazy. And I had to be at work the next day. I was going to get a quick nap in, but I almost overslept. And he was blowing my phone up. I was in a different state. I was working remotely. And he was blowing my phone up to make sure I made it to work. And I said, damn, he cares a lot. He was like, I just want to make sure you made it on time. I didn't want you to oversleep because of me and stuff. I said, damn, he like really like cares about me. And I remember I said, okay, yeah, I'm up. I hung up, and then I called him back. I said, hey, we're a thing. I just want you to know. Because I thought to myself, I'll be so jealous if I've been telling this man for the longest that we're not a thing, and he takes that and goes, okay, I'm allowed to talk to other people then. I said, I don't want him to talk to anybody else. I'm going to call him back and tell him we're a thing. He called me back and said, okay, well, you sleep on that for a day, and if you feel the same way tomorrow, then we'll make it official. And that's just how we got to be. And then since then, inseparable. And now we're going to have a happy life together. I'd invite y'all to the wedding, but, you know, it's going to be a small ceremony.
That's fine. That's fine. Let me know when you're registered.
Anyway.
Let me know when
you got a registry.
Yeah.
I don't yet. You know something? I'm very I don't know how to explain it. I'm very
minimalist.
Well, I didn't put, to be quite honest. We've been engaged since November 2023. And my mom got tired of me not planning the wedding to the point where she said, I'm just going to plan it. It sounds like, because I just didn't want to do like a big over the top thing. I just said, I just want to be married. I know I want to be with this man. I don't need a party to celebrate it. I just want to be married. And so she was like, let me put together a small sweet ceremony for you guys. So,
that's good.
Yeah. So I haven't done anything. I don't even have my dress, and it's in November. I don't have anything. I just was like, look, I know I'm going to marry the man. However it happens, it's going to happen.
But you got to remember, it's about the marriage. It's not about the wedding. So
that part.
Always remember that. I'm up for giving advice, unsolicited advice.
I know. I feel the same. I feel the exact same way, which is why I was like, let me go to the courthouse and but he had already done that type of marriage, and he said, I want to do something I've never done before.
Sure.
And so he was adamant about us having more of a ceremony and I kind of supported that because I wanted to do right by my parents too. And I know that that's crazy to be like, well, it's there, but I know that this is such a big thing for them. And that they're so important to me that it's important to me to give them a certain experience as well, because my relationship, my future marriage wouldn't be what it was if I didn't have them guiding me on what a relationship should look like. I mean, they've been through it, you know. My parents have been together since they were 16. So yeah. Anyway, that's how we got to the wedding thing. And I was like, let's just do it. Ask me who's officiating.
Well, no, so you know what the real marriage should look like, though. If you said your parents been together since they were 16, I don't know how old your parents are now, but you know, I mean, you have a good example of what it takes to make a marriage work, you know, and you know, so that's fantastic.
Let's hope.
That's fantastic. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you, guys. Look, I'm getting so excited. You guys got me hyped. I do. I really love talking about.
You got a ring bearer?
The greatest man in the whole world.
You got a ring bearer?
I don't have. I mean, I guess. All right. So we have two. I got you. I'm gonna fly you out. We're in Orlando. You know, and look, Randy, I need you live reporting the wedding on Into the Gray. I need you to be doing a whole podcast. We're doing a live reporting of it as she walks down the aisle.
And that thing. What you mean? So
we're reporting live here at Bree's wedding.
Facts. 6 months ago, when we had this discussion, we finally made it.
I'm sorry, y'all. We went way off the rails. I was interested in her story. I think
it's fun.
I love love, so you know.
I'm happy to talk about it. I love love too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. You don't always see that from everybody, and it's really, really cool. It's really cool.
Randy?
Yes, ma'am.
You can go ahead. You can answer your question that you asked. Or that you started of the topic. I want to know.
This is my third time. This is my third time saying it.
I want you to go more into it.
What more do I need to go into?
Like they explain like their stances with the best friends. Like they've asked and ping pong like certain questions. Like you can answer some of the questions. Like, what do you feel about like, oh, the best friend thing and all this other stuff? Like, what do you feel about it? Or if you don't have anything else to add, that's fine. But just the way my brain works is like, as they were talking, I'm like, okay, I know how I wanted to answer. And then there's some things that they said. I'm like, oh, I want to answer that too. And I want to kind of touch on that and touch on that. I'm just trying to give you the opportunity before I talk forever. That's all. Try to be nice. But actually, I'm not even going to talk forever, but you know.
You know, for a while, I did consider myself to have a female best friend. And every time I got into a relationship, I would introduce my partner to the woman or lady that I consider my female best friend at the time. And it was seamlessly fine. Like it wasn't a problem. Like, oh, this person wants you, that person, that she just around because. And then it did get to that point to where I was getting in relationships to where they did see my best friend as a user or somebody who's just attached to me to what. Because of what I can give to them or what I have to offer, whatever the situation was. And when it got to that point, I chose my relationship. So I told the woman that I consider my best friend at the time that, like, hey, like, we having problems. It's because of our dynamic. And she was like, it's cool. I'll step back. Like, she made that decision. I didn't want her to make that decision. But during that time, it was more so, it was respect for my relationship to where she made that decision for me. It was cool. And then that relationship ended up not working. And then I end up contacting him like, hey, like, how's life? This and that. We cool? We good? Yeah. And we continue to be cool. Now, the best friend status wasn't the same. Like, even getting back into that, the mindset of us, like, doing having certain conversations or hanging out or whatever the situation was, it wasn't the same. Like, not only did I grow, but she grew too, and like our dynamic and our lifestyles wasn't conducive to us hanging out or talking on the phone like that anymore. Now every now and then it'll work out, but then it was just like, hit or miss. Then I got into my next relationship. Hey, me and her don't talk a lot, but this is who I consider my best friend. And like it was always introduce my partner to the woman or a woman that I consider to be close with or that is my best friend. So that is my take on it. Just introduce them at the beginning. Somebody that you get close to as a female during the relationship, they still need to be introduced to your partner. Like that's my take on it. But nevertheless, I mean, besides that, I don't really have anything biblical to say about it. Like you can either introduce them or not. And if you choose not to introduce them, then you're creating the problem as soon as you do that. So once something come up, oh yeah, we've been friends a long time. Well, why am I just not hearing about them? Y'all been cool that long. Y'all been doing this. Y'all been doing that. But you told me you was doing this. Now you probably was doing that with this person. So now that seems fishy. That seems funny. You know what I'm saying? So you create your own problems. Don't create your own evil if you don't want to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all, gather around. I got a story to tell. No, I'm just playing. You're so silly.
this one time in band camp.
Okay. So this one time in band camp. All right. So, like I said, I was married before, and in my marriage, we didn't have best friends of the opposite sex.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we just didn't. We were each other's best friend. I mean, we also were best friends in high school, and it just carried on in. But we were each other's best friend. And we were like, that's just weird to have that in a relationship. Like, why would I let somebody get so connected? Like, a best friend is somebody like, it's basically the relationship without the relationship part. So it's like, why would I have a guy that's giving me that and I'm getting this from you? Like, it's two people can't fill that one spot. So we didn't have that. And then as far as just a regular friend, okay, just a regular friend, he has a life. Unfortunately, I couldn't build him out of my rib or anything like that. So he did have people that throughout his life became his friends and things like that. And me as well. Like, I had a lot of guy friends from school. I mean, I had brothers, so their friends were my friends. And like, our family is huge. So then their friends are my friends. And like, it's just a lot that comes with that. However, what he introduced into the relationship which I love because, like, why not? Is he from day one has always celebrated me like out loud and has made it very clear, like while we were married, like no other woman comes before this one, like at all. And some people don't do that. And this is even when we were dating. It was like, I got Ash. You know what I'm saying? And even us being divorced, he still he's not gonna let nobody disrespect me. He's not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know what he'd do now, but after we got divorced, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's been like, yo, Ash is the shit. Like, that's the one. You know what I mean? And so there was no room for another woman to even kind of get close to him, because if a girl at work did say whatever, he's like, oh yeah, my wife did this. Even if I didn't know, what you get for lunch? Oh, my wife said this, or my wife wants me to get that, blah, blah, blah. It's like he was always putting me in places even where I wasn't around. And so I like that. And then I met all of them. They all knew about me. Every female friend from high school to the day we got divorced, every female friend or every friend that he was even going to be around, coworkers and stuff, we used to throw a lot of parties and stuff. So, Bree, it was always people, coming over, and they all had such high regard and respect for me because of how he did what he did and how he carried himself. He was never just him and a female friend doing this, or even female coworkers. It wasn't, he don't have no work wife. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just him. It was just me. Like, it was just me. I was all that he needed. And then, yes, of course, you can't avoid other people. They're going to be around. So there was that. On my end, I don't like people. So I didn't really build friendships because I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to get to know people. But the people who were around, I didn't have male friends. We also didn't have social media. We both deactivated our social media for the entirety of our marriage. We went on to post stuff on Facebook together when, like, holidays or something like that. And, we want our extended family to see, but we didn't have social media. We were like, social media is for single people. So why have it? We don't need it. So yeah, so we did that. So that I like when you don't need to fill up a space with other shit. Like, your person is enough. Like, I prefer that. So now the world is different. They're not built like that. And that's not a shot at any man that's, but they're just not. I feel like a lot of people are not as strong-minded. I feel as though a lot of people are very secretive, very sneaky, very this, very that. And so I would not want the person that I get into a relationship with to have female friends. But it also depends on the person. It depends on your person, who you're getting into a relationship with. I do understand that. But I wouldn't want them to have female friends. What I've come across is that guys have female friends, which are just people that they liked, or failed relationships, or talking stages, or exes and things like that.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be like, oh, that's all okay. They're just, hey, or people that they know are interested in them, but they're not interested anymore. Like, how do you know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, or we did used to like each other. We don't like each other anymore. I mean, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that. Like, I feel like, why introduce that into a dynamic, or why would I knowingly get into something like that? So it's like, I'm okay. If I find somebody that is of that mindset, then I'm like, cool, let's lock that in. Like, you about me, I'm about you. You're strong-minded, you're strong-willed. I know that if you do go to work with this girl, I ain't got to be like, be on FaceTime with me all day while you're at work, because I don't know if you're going to talk to this girl, if you're going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my take.
Okay, so let me come back to me. I come back. Why? Come back to me.
Take your time, Saint. Take your time. Take your
come
time,
back
Saint.
to me. I come back to me.
So, do you have male friends now?
Do I have male friends?
Bitch, besides me,
I have.
Do you have?
I mean, no, I know you was asking outside of you. That's what I'm trying to think. Like, do I have male friends? I have one. I have one male friend. Yeah, I do.
So once you get like locked into a relationship, do he gotta go? Is what you're saying?
Well, it depends on who I get in a relationship with. If I get into a relationship who I'm planning on getting a relationship with, no, because that's also his friend too. But would our relationship change? Then yeah. But if it's his friend, then No, he mutually loves both of us and cheering for both of us.
When we started the show, you said that you were in a relationship, though.
She said
I'm
dating.
dating, which is
That's her.
I could get into why I said it
Damn.
like that, but
That's a-
I agree with that.
I agree with that. I agree with that. 'Cause you can be
okay.
dating more than one person.
Uh-huh.
You can be dating more than one person. Well,
I don't believe in
no,
that, but I get you.
When I say dating, I don't mean like, having relations and all that stuff. I mean like going out, spending time, maybe going bowling, maybe getting
The way that I told you that before me and EJ got together, where I was like, I was talking to multiple people, but I made it clear that I was like, hey, I wasn't talking to like, oh, you're my man, but it would be like, hey, do you want to go get coffee?
And y'all dating in the classic,
Right.
People,
And that's
No,
Yeah.
I got y'all. I'm just saying, I don't do that. The way that my brain works, I like to literally, I have to see something through. So I can't have multiple interests because then I'm only given a certain percentage here, a certain percentage there, a certain percentage there. Like it's spread too thin. And then I'm going to probably pick somebody based upon how much time I'm spending over here. Or you may be laughing. This person may be mad at, like, I'm not giving you the full attention. I'm not getting the full experience. And then I'll end up talking to all of y'all longer than I actually want to. It probably would have took me a week to decide that you were the person that I should or shouldn't talk to. But because I was microdosing my interactions with you, it made it go longer. So I don't got time for that. I swear.
My bad for saying, the relationship part or I guess relationship part. But
that's nothing wrong with that.
I just thought that it was that. But anyway, you talk or dating and whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I had a moment to where I had to explain to her, like, dating, like, you can non-exclusively date and you can exclusively date.
Right.
And it's all in the one for her.
That.
Exactly. So she sees that as all in one. Once you're dating, she considers that a relationship.
Because I'm not a person that likes to waste my time. Like, I'm not a person that likes to waste my time. So I feel like if we're dating, that is a relationship. I don't even want to say I'm in a relationship with all these people at once. Like, that's too much of my time being dealt out another. Like, it's weird. I got to talk to you and
but how do you know you're dating somebody? Like,
it's sad.
How do you know you're dating somebody? Is it like? So what I mean by is that, remember, I was like, initially, when EJ the very first time he said, hey, do you want to go out to dinner with me? Technically, we went on a date, which would imply that we were dating. But you're saying that if some other dude had asked you to go on a date maybe 2 weeks later or something like that, you'd be like,
I wouldn't have gone. Right. That's how I don't do that.
Yeah.
And
you're blocking your blessing.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think that I'm going into it clear-minded and intentional, because if you took me to Arby's, because I'm not that high maintenance, but this person took me to a fucking magical restaurant at Disney, I'm probably going to be spending more time and talking to him, when really that's just all pomp and circumstance. I should be over here. So I just want to see it through. I want to let you know that I'm a very intentional person.
Yeah, I mean.
Ain't nothing. Well,
there's something wrong with Arby's.
I haven't had Arby's, so that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, something wrong with it for sure.
They have the meats though.
I don't care what they got. They ain't been there.
The meat's gonna have you on the toilet. Okay.
For sure.
I don't care. I love Arby's. We're not gonna get into that though.
But yeah, I'm not doing that. I know that I've gotten feedback from people who have attempted to date me that, like, the way that I do it is pretty crazy, but I'm just a very intentional person. If I said that I'm going to spend my time here and try to get to figure this out, then I'm going to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and go, I like it, or you know what, this piece doesn't fit and I must have quit. You know what I'm saying? I got to go. But yeah, that's just me. But not knocking anybody else who does it. I can't do it that way. So.
That's fine. It's been a long time for me since I've dated anybody, so
don't do it. I'm married. I can't do it.
I ain't trying to. I'm trying to stay. I'm trying to stay where I'm at, who I'm with.
Yeah, he's saying I'm locked in for life.
Boy, I'm locked in. So
it's crazy.
But I was just wondering. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with for you to be like, look, I just want to see it through to either to the finish line or to the end of the line.
Yeah.
I get that you're like, I mean, I don't do it that way, but I also feel like it all just depends on the person, because for me, I was like, I had done the way where I was dating multiple people, but I wasn't like telling them because I didn't know you had to. I thought it was like understood. Like, I didn't say I was your girlfriend. You didn't call me your girlfriend. When you introduced me, you called me your friend. I thought we're chilling. And I just felt like that was fine. But I've also had that get messy where I wasn't clear. And so someone thought that this relationship was more than what. That's why when I went into this one, I told him, like, hey, we'll go out. I like you enough. You're cool. I want to get to know you. But while I get to know you, I also have some other dude who I might go get coffee with. I'm not sleeping with all around, because that's, to me, I feel like that is for your relationship. But I didn't see any harm in it, especially when, as long as I was transparent with it and I set the expectations, and I'm like, then proceed with caution. If you're okay with that, then, and I was okay with him talking to other girls. I didn't feel any type of way. I expected it. I was like, cool. It was just until I decided, I was like, nah, I kind of want this to be for real. That's when I was like, hey, I don't want you to talk to anybody else, and I promise I'm not going to talk to anybody else. We should be together. Just me and you. Only us. Everybody. And so that's when I kind of just decided I was going to drop everybody else. And it wasn't hard to drop everybody else, because I was like, hey, y'all, no, I can't go on a date. I actually have a boyfriend now. I started dating somebody. It was really nice knowing you, though. And then you just, whatever. That's how I did it. But I was also in a different spot than you were, Dash, because I know that for you had been married, and so you probably go into stuff way more intentional than I was at 25, where I was like, listen, I said, the world is my oyster. I'm cute. I'm young. I'm successful. Let's go. And that's how I used to look at it until I met my fiance. And then I was like, okay, cool. Let's lock in. Yeah. But I've definitely had it get complicated, more complicated than it needed to be, because I was juggling multiple quote unquote relationships, but they weren't. They were just people who I was talking to. And I thought that everybody was on the same page. You got to set expectations. You
have to be very, very clear. And I would not advise people to date. Shit, be single. Be single and just dream about your perfect partner or something. But dating shit is trash. But
somebody who loves love, that's crazy for you to say.
I do love love. But what I found since being divorced is that people are just built different. And so I've experienced more heartache dating than I ever did in a marriage. And it's almost like, damn, like, should I have, or, you know what I mean? Like, was it that bad? Like,
why do you feel like there was more heartache in dating? Because to me, that's a foreign concept. Because I see dating as such a frivolous, like, carefree kind of thing that I'm like, how could it ever have heartache if it's not?
Because of the way that I date. I don't have the capability to date the way of multiple people, and most people do. I'm a person by default. I have to be. Now, I might not always be clear, because, again, my brain works a little differently than most people. But I might not be clear in what I'm saying off the bat. But when I get finished rambling, you'll get what I'm saying. Like, I am very direct. I date this way. I expect this. I like you. I'm at this level. I'm here. I'm that. And most people will play with that. They prey on that. And it's like, okay, well, I can just get whatever I want from you and kind of just like toy with you and fuck with you and keep secrets and still do this over here. But I could just make you believe that I'm not doing this. And then because my brain recognizes patterns and things and all that shit, like, I will then find out, like, oh, you're actually not honest. You're not actually transparent. You're not actually forthcoming. A lot of people are very fucking sneaky, because it's easier to do that than to be a stand-up person. So it's been a heartache for me, because I'm in thinking that I'm in something that I'm not. And it's frustrating. I'd rather it be somebody being like, yo, hey, when I said that I agree with you, and when I said that I'm doing this as well, I actually am. And then it's like, great. Okay, cool. Now we can. But most people are playing games and shit. And it's unfortunate. So that's where the heartache comes in, where it's like, yay, aw, fuck.
Disappointment. Like, do you think that the disappointment stems from, like, because somebody always says that, like, disappointment only happens when proper expectations aren't set. If you set your expectations, then how could you be disappointed if you know what you're getting into? Do you think that you are setting your clear expectations and these people are not meeting up to the standards that you're setting? Or do you think that the expectations, maybe you're not articulating them well enough, and that's why I'm genuinely curious.
No, like, I know. What that looks like. Yeah, so for me, it is, once I say what exactly I'm going for or what I'm not, and you tell me exactly what you're going for and what you're not, and I tell you, even if I tell you, like, okay, I believe we're at this stage, and you agree, or you don't say opposite, you continue through the actions like we are at that stage, I only put on people what they tell me. I will never hold you accountable for something that you did not tell me. It's whatever the fuck you say to me. If you say that you're honest, if you say that you're not a liar, if you say that you're not a cheater, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt until you show me otherwise. And that's where the heartache comes in, because I'm being honest with you. I ain't gonna cheat. I ain't gonna this. I ain't gonna that. And I'm assuming, well, you like shit me either, that you actually meant it. And that's not always the case.
That's fair.
That
I was
has
just curious.
never been the case. Yeah, that's what I said. I hate it. But I do love love. I love love. I mean, you see me in a relationship, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I love love. Like, you know what I mean?
I think
Like,
you're great in a relationship, babe. I think you're great.
Thank you.
Not to gas her up too much, but I think she's great.
You know.
So I'm gonna ask this question. It's gonna be a 2-part question. Either you can answer both, or you can't just say no to neither one of them as far as an answer. You got to answer at least one of these, or you can answer both. So the questions are: what is one relationship norm that needs to be redefined, or what is one boundary that's a non-negotiable for you? Like I said, you can answer both, or you can just answer one.
I'll go first.
Okay.
The boundary, which I'm building the strength in my mind because I haven't always been the strongest here, but the boundary for me is that if what is going on in this relationship is affecting the love I have for myself, then I have to let it go. So.
Oh. I can tell you've been cooking that one up for a minute. That's a good one.
Bitch, I've been through a lot of heartache.
I was like, I can tell that one took some thought. That's real.
Bitch, I've been through a lot. A lot.
Okay.
So.
I will go next. All right. Are you answering another one? You just answering that one, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I will say the boundary, that's a non-negotiable for me, is the respect and conflict. Because even though we're upset at each other, respect can't leave the room. You know, the yelling, the name calling, and all the emotional hurt that happens during an argument. There's a line you don't cross. You know what I'm saying? So if we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it. But don't disrespect me. And I also will say, as far as the relationship norm that needs to be redefined, which a lot of people might disagree with me, and it's okay, is that the idea that your partner should be your everything, your best friend, your lover, your therapist, your business partner, your emotional support system. I think it needs to be redefined, and I think we romanticize that this all in one like role to a point. It's kind of unfair to put a lot of pressure on the relationship, and it often leads to kind of like a disappointment or a burnout of your partner. You know, the person that you say that you love, you care about, you wouldn't put them in a line of fire to have so much duty put onto them to where if they fail at one aspect of it, now you feel some type of way. Healthy relationships kind of allow that space for individuality, friendships, therapy, with counsel and community. So, you know, love can be deep and still committed without being all consuming in just one person. And that's what I got.
I agree with the mine was actually the same one for the boundary about disrespect. I think that part of what makes this current relationship I'm in so successful is the fact that we have the mutual agreement that there's just no room for disrespect in our relationship, and I never want to be the one who ruins what we have to say that I was the first person to call a name. We've been together 5 years and I have never cussed at him, yelled at him, screamed at him, and we've disagreed a lot, but our mantra is disagreement does not equate to disrespect. They are not the same thing and they should not be treated that way. Because I do think that, you know, there's a lot of times a lot of people think that, and maybe this is answering the question too, both sides of the question is what's something that needs to be redefined is like, I think a lot of people think that you're allowed to pile on your partner and basically give them the worst parts of you and they're expected to love you anyway, when I think it should absolutely be backwards. Like that's backwards. I think that it should be that you should only provide your partner with the best parts of yourself because you love them enough to. it's, one thing to say that, hey, I'm going to mess up and you're going to see the ugly and you're going to see the, but I do think that it's unfair to your partner where I've seen this happen. I've personally been guilty of this, not in this one, but in the last one, to say like, I was so nice and so happy and so bubbly to everybody. This side that you guys are seeing of me is how I am with all the world. I'm very much like this all the time. But then I would go home and then it would just be like, I flipped the switch, like, oh, you pissed me off and I'm about to let you know it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, that it should be kind of redefined that that should not be what you carry to your partner. It's how unfair is it that your partner sees that you have the self-control to not be an asshole to literally everyone else, but then the minute you're behind closed doors, you're giving them the worst of it. I think that that's an unacceptable behavior that a lot of people think is normal in relationships, where it's like, oh, well, you're my partner and you just might see me rear my ugly head, but we're going to work through it. I think that it's unfair to put your partner in that position, because if you can control yourself with some stranger, then you should be able to control yourself with your partner as well. And I think that that leans on the disrespect. Like, maybe we think it's okay to disrespect our partners because they're going to love us anyway, but that is an abuse of a relationship status to me. Like, I know you're going to love me, so I'm going to purposely push the envelope so that you could prove to me how much you love. That's unfair. So I do think that that's something that should be reevaluated in relationships.
I take that. CJ?
This my turn, huh?
Yes, sir.
Relationship norms that need to be redefined. I had to write this down because I thought it was a really good one. I think one. Okay, we say norms is what everybody goes by, so it's not taboo. But the happy wife, happy life thing, that's a relationship norm that everybody, just say everybody. I can't speak in totalities like that, but a lot of people want to live by. A lot of people want to go by that mantra of happy wife, happy life. I believe in the happy spouse, happy house, where you both have to be happy. I can't make my wife happy. She can't make me happy. She has to find her happiness. I have to find my happiness. Now, I can't piss her off, but I can't make her happy. So I believe that needs to be redefined, especially as men, especially as Black men. We don't ever get a chance to really show our emotions, show how we feel, and things like that. Like, I'm tired. I mean, just the simple fact of we get tired. We'll go, we'll go to work, 8, 10, 12 hours, get our ass beat at work, come home, and you gotta have, your wife, she saying whatever she got to say. You got the kids and the kids is going, all that stuff like that. You're not happy, but you're learning how to cope. And we have been really, really good at learning how to cope, learning how to mask it. And in the same regard, the wife, she maybe she didn't work, maybe not the same amount of time that the men has worked, but she's worked. She's come home, she's dealt with the kids, she's been cleaning, she's been cooking, whatever the situation may be. The roles may be reversed, but everybody's tired and everybody's short tempered and everybody's on edge. So that is something that needs to be that needs to be a norm, or a norm to be redefined, as well as the dating with I guess dating your partner. And what I mean by that, and I'm coming from a married point of view, so you got to forgive me for this, but things need to be redefined. Is that couples don't, once they get married and they get complacent and lazy in their marriage. And I don't know Ashley's take on this, because, like I said, she's been married before. We talked about that. She's been married before, but you don't ever stop dating your partner. And so, what I mean by that is, whatever you did from the beginning to get that person, that's the minimum that you have to do. One of the things I used to do with my wife back when we were dating or talking or whatever, I always get the flowers. Get a flower. Her favorite candy is the peanut M&Ms. The one in the yellow package. So I used to get her, like a single rose and like the small little 89-cent bag of those M&Ms. Well, I mean, we married now, so that that single rose done turned into a big ass bouquet in a big box of them. But
Come on now.
it's the same. It's the same sentiment of those are the simple things that you can do. So don't forget those things. And if a woman, you know, that you really like, fellas, keep doing those little things. Keep dating them, ladies. Hey, if you was sucking that penis 2-3 days a week,
I'm dead.
that's what you need to do to keep them. It's the same thing. No, I know. We went. I know how that sounded. I know how it sounded before I said it.
I know how
That's
it
real.
Before I
sounded.
said it, I knew how that was gonna
It
sound.
was
But
too late.
it's out there, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, those are the norms that I think that we need to look at and redefine. Just make sure that we look at those. The boundaries that are non-negotiable. I think everybody touched on that thing about the respect. I think we all I think that's kind of beaten to a horse. And then time, your time and your peace. Those things are important.
Yeah.
My time is my time. Let's say your time is your time. I touched on it earlier. I was talking about it. I said that, each individual person in the relationship needs to have their own life outside of the relationship. They need to be somewhere else. So let your mate needs to have their time, especially if y'all got kids, because fuck them kids. So because they add another layer to it. So have your time and and try to make your household as peaceful as possible. And so those boundaries need to be set of what is peace and what my time is. Well, like I'm going to use my marriage as an example because that's the only marriage that I know. But right now, currently, I'm in my office, which is my studio and my man cave. Don't come in here with no bullshit. This is a bullshit-free zone. We ain't doing that in here because this is my time. This is my peace. This is my space. This is my area. I step out these doors, you can do all the bullshit you want to do out there, but out in here, ain't nothing. So respect that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we're kind of on the same page and stuff like that. But it's not hard. It's not simple. I mean, it's not hard. It's very simple, I should say. And that's all I got to say about that. About the boundaries thing. Just respect each other's shit. Respect each other's space. It's not hard.
I got you. I appreciate y'all input on that question. But in love and loyalty and in power, there's really, well, to sum it all up, there's rarely clear a right or wrong. And today we stepped into the gray where we stepped into a spot in between that. Who gets the final say so when there's an argument? Should cheating be legal with consequences? Do we all have a capacity to betray? Or do we just have potential to be broken? And when we make decisions, are we sharing control or claiming ownership? These are the kind of questions that we ask and we answer and not judge, but we talk about to understand because the relationships aren't always black and white. Okay. They're layered, they're lived, and they're often unresolved. So I want to thank y'all for listening to Into the Gray. I appreciate y'all for being on this episode with us. If we stirred up something inside of you, share it with somebody that you know. Share it with somebody you don't know. Share it with somebody who can handle the conversation. Y'all can follow, rate it. Meet us back here next week when we unpack something else because we'll pull it apart and keep pulling it apart until we get down to the nitty gritty. But also, there's times where we don't go deep enough and we keep digging until we go deep enough. So until then, y'all stay curious, keep asking questions, and thank y'all for entering the gray.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Oh, everybody.